live, it got louder.
All right, recording started. Play stay in studio until the recordings are done uploading. Yeah, I don't see where I can upload that to my page, bud. I do not see that at all.
I don't know.
I guess you can share it there later, right? If you have to or whatever.
Yeah, but like I said, when you added your YouTube link, anybody that's clicking that will be able to see it too, and it should go straight to your YouTube page.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. When it says like my guest can share it to 2 destinations, I mean, I can't really see your screen, so I don't know where that is.
I just got a message that said this link don't take me to a live feed, so I don't know how I would do that.
I think maybe Deb could share it to you, like your phone, and then you could probably share it from there.
Okay, yeah. See if we can try that real quickly. I don't know, or can I give her? Can she can't just share it to my page like herself?
Yeah, I think so, because it's going to her page, and my 2 destinations are her page, so she can share it to the groups and my YouTube channel. So once she has it, she should be able to share it straight to you and your messenger.
Okay.
We'll take a second for that. I think that'll work. That's why I've never been the guest. So on the other side of it, I don't know, like being the guest where it would give you the option to share it out. I just know it says guests can share to 2 destinations. So I'm like, okay. Right. And I've had guests share it out. Like Gary, he shared it out to one of his friends. And so there's an option on there somewhere, maybe at the top of the screen where the dots are. I'm not sure like what you're looking at on your screen. So
no, that I just have just switch the camera that's waiting. Yeah, I don't see anything on here.
He's trying to figure out how to share it out to his page and stuff. Deb, are you able to share it straight to his messenger?
Or just my YouTube? That's all I care about is my YouTube, really. That's where I've been telling everyone to go. My link is under my headline right there. If she can somehow share it to there, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, there you go. That's why she's smart. If you could just add your YouTube link to the chat, Geo.
Okay, but how am I going to get all my people to go there now that I told them all to go to my channel? You know what I mean?
Well,
that'd be the only thing.
On the post that you posted, I seen it myself where the YouTube link is your channel, so they should be going there.
Right. But if they just go to the YouTube link, I don't think it's going to come up now because I just got a text saying that there's no live video being shown. So I don't know, but I mean, we can just share it later or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I can post something really quickly.
I don't know. I can't get it. All I got is my phone. I don't know if it's on my YouTube, if it's on GBR or any of that stuff at this moment. That's the bad part. I can't.
I gotcha.
I don't know what's going on where it is. I hope it gets shared out.
Right. Yeah.
No, the last one didn't make it to the GBR groups, but there's always a hiccup involved. We're trying to fine tune this. We learn a little something extra every time we do these. So
you and one other in the stream. Yeah. I don't see it on here, but
I'm on all. What about his? That's what he's wondering.
Connect to YouTube. I found it. Connect to YouTube. All right, connect to your YouTube account. Maybe that'll connect that. I don't know.
I'm hoping so. Yeah, that should be one of your destinations. You get a stream from your end too.
Yeah, I don't see any destinations on here. Recording right there. All right. Well, I don't know, but we can just get started here. Stage. Everyone can see and hear you.
You definitely should have a share option somewhere on your end. I don't know.
Yeah, I do not see it.
I'm on all. That's good. I don't know if it's on his because I can't check nothing like that, but it'll be there. I guarantee you. I just don't know if it's going to be there live. I haven't had anybody ask me about
to do that. Yeah, right, to share live. I got you.
I would think it is. Like if you could just. That's what I'm saying. Like on your post, you had your link on there, and I went to it, and it showed the event. Waiting like a couple hours. I'm like, well, it's going to be on there too. So, but I bet you more people find it than you're thinking. at the moment.
Gotcha.
2 users are on
Alright.
the stream and with audio only.
Wonder. All right, I don't know. I just went live on my YouTube channel too. I don't know if it's going to show this and that. I'm not sure, but we'll see what happens on there.
Well, if anything, we'll figure it out and we'll do another one sometime.
Okay, yeah, no
Because
doubt. Sounds good.
it's something I want to figure out how to do too. Because like I said, Gary wanted one of his friends who's got like a radio station podcast. He wanted to share it live, stream it live on his. So Gary ended up sending him the link to it, and he shared it out just fine too. So it's just like, we're all kind of new to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean,
we'll get better.
Yeah, the main thing is we're here for a big reason, and that's because of your story, your testimony, mine as well. God put us on a path that led us to one another.
Yeah, God bless. God bless.
Try to make our way through this live stream and watching a jig, but there's always been something with these lives. I've done them since February. There's always been some kind of issue, but man, when they're done, they're awesome, and they exhaust me because I'm just taking, everything from my guests, and I'm giving some too, and everything. And these are details I try not to worry about so much. We'll figure it out though. I promise you. Even if you have to redo it or dive into some other stuff, but. If anything, I'll share it straight to your page too. They won't be able to see it live, but I mean, you could edit it and clip it and then kind of like talk over it if you wanted to and run it yourself. That might be a decent idea.
Okay.
But are you ready? You're ready though? I know
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, I've been trying to work on this all day, but I'm trying to put all these plans together and everything. But in the end, it's just I just got to go with it and give it my best go. So
yeah, we're gonna be fine. God will take care of us. Yes, everybody, absolutely. Thanks for tuning in. GBR family from Facebook, groups 1 and 2. Anybody on YouTube right now? This is On the Spot with my guest, Geo Eissler. Did I pronounce it right? I was always wondering.
Yeah.
And he's got an incredible story, as all my guests have, as we all do. And he's going to share it with us. He's been looking forward to this a lot. And hopefully the little technical difficulties we're trying to navigate through won't be as important as the story and the testimony. So put that out of your mind for now, and let's get into this. Geo, you're on the spot.
All right. Sounds good, brother.
Start off by just telling everybody where you're from, a little bit of your background, so maybe from childhood and leading up to like those years that weren't our best years, but we grew stronger through them because God brought us out of them.
Okay. All right. I gotcha. All right. So first of all, I just want to start with a little disclaimer, anything I say, this is my story of my life, you know what I mean? And obviously there's people involved in it and stuff. And I take full responsibility for everything that's happened for me in my life. Everything that's happened to me, it's all on me. You know what I mean? I'm a man. I handle my business. I'm supposed to do everything a certain way, so any decisions I made, if someone else was involved in the decision, it's part of my story. You know what I mean? But I have no animosity towards anybody in my life ever. And, everything in my life happened for a reason. And I'm so grateful that everything happened the way it did, because it all brought me to where I'm at now, But so I'm never trying to offend anyone, with anything I say. If anything comes up, I'm not going to refer to anyone by name or anything necessarily. But, if someone, I don't want anyone to take anything personally, though. That's all.
Sure.
That's all I mean by that. So, but yeah, so starting out, when I was born in Korea. I was born in South Korea. The town name eludes me, but I was there. I was born there. My dad was in the military, and he met and married my mother, my actual mother, which I'm not even sure her name. But when they divorced or whatever, when I was only 1, and he brought me back to the States with him, and she stayed there. So now basically I'm in the States, and obviously I don't remember when I was 1 or anything, but But my dad met my mother, who I consider my mother now. You know, she was only 15 at the time when they got together. So she took on raising me when I was only 1 at the age of 15, you know. So she did the best that she could, you know, and I believe that my father did the best that he could as well, you know. But there was a lot of things, you know, when I grew up, it was really, really tough for me growing up. We had a lot of struggles as a family. We weren't rich by any means, you know what I mean? We were like less than rich for sure. And I had I had a lot of trouble with bullying and everything, you know, when I was young, when I went to school. First of all, when I went, like my parents did me no favors either, because like my mother, she would button my top button of my shirt to the top button, my flannel shirt top button, part my hair in the middle, you know, and I'm this little Chinese kid, little Asian kid, Korean, you know, I don't know why I said Chinese, but I'm this little Korean kid. And I'm the second shortest kid in the class. I'm smart as a whip, you know what I mean? I'm like the smartest kid in the school, and I'm little and I'm Asian. And at that time, like in the area that I'm from, I live in Herkimer, and that's where I went to school in Herkimer. There's no ethnicity at all at that time. You know, like in my high school, there was one colored person, and I was like the one Asian person there. So it was really, really tough growing up, and then not having the heritage at all. Like my parents did never talked about it. They never like encouraged me in any way to be proud of who I was, you know, so that was tough. Some specific things that like I remember that always stuck with me, you know, that stuck with me throughout my life was when I in 5th grade, I moved to another school called Oppenheim. It's this really, really little school with like 12 kids per grade. And my first day of class, the teacher in that school, she says, we have someone here from overseas. And she like announces it to the class. And when I went home and told my mother this, she was furious. Like, why would she do that? You know, and she was like so mad about it. So my mom, she at that time, she's thinking she's like defending me, I suppose, you know, but at that time, like that made me feel like I should be ashamed of this, you know, it really, really did, you know. So I grew up like crazy, crazy ashamed of who I was. Like I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And it wasn't until recently that I kind of got over that. But that was one instance. And then I remember going to like a family reunion with my family, and my mom, you know, who isn't necessarily my real mother. So her family isn't necessarily, you know, my real family, even though they are all that I know as a family. But my uncle, like, I just remember him like beating me up. You know, I'm really, really little, and he's just like beating me up, like hard, like hurting me. You know, and he's calling me all sorts of names, chink and gook, and my mom's just telling him, "Oh, you know, whatever his name is, just stop it," you know. And just nobody really cares that this was happening. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like okay that this is happening. So that made things really, really tough growing up. And then aside from that, like being poor and stuff growing up, I remember one time I was probably like 5 or 6 years old, and I had gotten allowance. All of a sudden, I remember that my parents said, "Well, if you do all these chores, we'll give you this much money a week." And I remember I had like $80 saved up. And then one day I remember my dad, he's outside, he's working on the car, and he couldn't get it to work. He came in and asked me to borrow that money. And I gave it to him, obviously. And then it never got brought up again, not by him nor by me, you know. So I'm waiting for it back. But at the same time, I don't have enough confidence to like ask, even bring it up. You know what I mean? That hey, I let you borrow that money. You know what I mean? Because I feel bad to even ask him for it. So I just remember, and then my allowance kind of stopped at that point. I remember, but so that was tough. So I always like grew up being like worried about my parents having money, being worried about there being enough food, and all these things. So it kind of like the reason why I bring all that up is because it really relates to like what I became as an adult. You know. So that kind of started it out. But and then in high school, so now in high school, I'm 2 grades advanced in math, and I'm super, super smart, you know, but I didn't have any like my parents, like I said, they did the best that they could. You know, I have no doubt in my mind about that. But my father, he worked, you know, he would work. And I remember he'd go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. But by the time I get home, 4 o'clock in the evening, he's like in the bedroom going to sleep because he has to get up and go to work at 6, you know? So, and like, that. So, yeah, but I felt so bad for him for having to work, you know what I mean? Like, that's how, like, I was raised, is to feel bad. So I just never wanted to ask for anything. And I always felt like a burden, kind of.
What do you do, Geo? Do you mind?
At that time, he was a welder. At that time, yeah, he started a job as a welder. So
yeah, that's that early and that kind of a job. That'll tire you out.
Yeah, so, yeah, for sure.
Sorry to stop your flow.
No, you're good, brother. But now when I'm in high school, like I was on every single like panel, like I'm on student council, I was a peer helper, I'm outdoors club president. I was on every single committee, you know, the 4-H thing that they have. I did everything. I'm playing football, I'm playing basketball. And I did so much, you know, but my parents, like they never came to like sporting events and everything. And I remember always like, at the end of like a game, like we go to like a basketball game, it's the dead of winter. It gets really, I don't know what it's like there for snow wise, but we get quite a bit of snow here, especially back then. It's not so bad now, but so it's like 8, 7 o'clock at night. It's dead pitch dark out, and like I'm getting a ride home from the coach after the game. You know, everyone else's parents are at the games, but I'm getting a ride home from the coach afterwards, or else having to walk home afterwards. You know, so these are the things that I remember. You know, but I remember my dad coming to one football game of mine and him being on the sideline and telling me I did a good job. I remember that. It was just, I got the wind knocked out of me by this really, really big guy that was like NFL bound. And I was pretty small, but I tackled him. And I remember I got the wind knocked out of me for that. But he came over and told me I was doing a good job. So that was pretty cool. But so I didn't have a lot of direction, you know, not a lot of encouragement, I guess is the biggest thing. You know what I mean? But again, I do believe my parents did the very, very best they could. You know, I don't think they weren't brought up in a way to have that themselves. You know what I mean? It was just a different time and everything then. But so not a lot of encouragement. And then when I was a junior in high school, I went to what was called Boys State in New York State. They pick 2 people from every county of the state and they send them off to this school. It was Alfred State University School. And you go there, and the Marines, it's a Marine based thing. So you go there and you create a whole town, a community. I remember I was fire chief. So at the end of this week-long program, number one, you get a scholarship to that school, to go to that school for college. I could have went there for free. So, and this is as a junior, you know what I mean? I have that. And Herkimer County, the county I live in, is the biggest county in the whole state. So to be one of 2 people that was selected for this, it was a pretty big deal, you know? But the place that it was held at was an hour away from where we lived. Now, on the last day of this, they have a big ceremony. We all march out and everything. They have a dinner and stuff, and then you ride home with your parents afterwards. But if your parents do not go to this, then you have to ride home on the bus the next day. You have to stay that night, ride home on the bus the next day. So I was one of 2 people that stayed the night that night and rode home the next day on the bus, you know? So it's just kind of, it was tough as a kid, you know what I mean? Whereas I have all this going for me and I could have like done so much with it. I didn't have anyone encouraging me, and I didn't know necessarily to do it for myself. You know what I mean? So then I kind of gave up a bit, you know?
Well, let me ask you this, man. You're going.
Yes,
If you ever do audio, if you ever write a book, just do an audio book and just you don't
right.
save yourself much time.
Yeah, writing
you
stuff.
put a lot up there already. Let me get in here and ask a couple things to fine tune some of that. So you knew you were smart early on. You didn't really have the heritage and culture background from Korea, so you had the spotlight on you, so to speak, growing up. Small, only one of the colored kids in the school, but you were really smart. It sounds like you're using all your smarts and getting involved in everything you could to try to get a little bit more attention and encouragement. And it was almost like you were overcompensating, but you were capable of doing everything. You say you got that one acknowledgement from your dad on the sidelines at the football game. Looking back, do you think that like it's not that you said kind of wasted some of the things you could have done and everything, but I'm thinking if you could have what'd you enjoy? Like what was your passion? Like if you could have just focused in on one thing, it seemed like you were just like hedging your bets everywhere and like nothing really paid off.
Right.
And like by the time you were like 13, like what'd you find that you really loved and was interested in and brought you like happiness, like for your own sake?
So for probably basketball, I always said that if I was 2 inches taller, I could have went in the NBA. I'm only 5'5" and 3/4.
Same here.
But so yeah, because I was really really good for a period of time in basketball, but then I got hurt and I never really got back to that form. But I was definitely really good, so that was definitely something. But overall, no, I struggled. You know what I mean? Like I had all this ability, I had all this going for me, but I had no confidence in myself, and I had no
direction.
Just right. And I I had this huge desire to be liked and this huge desire, like I wanted to be popular more than anything. You know what I mean? Like I just remember like just wishing I was popular and trying to like always fit in. And like that's where I had like the most trouble. You know what I mean? Those are the things that troubled me. But as far as like I could have went any direction, you know, with my life. But what I ended up doing was when I was a senior, I moved out of my house. I moved in with some friends when I was a senior, and but for college wise, okay, so like I said, I'm Asian. This is 1996, right? So now there's not like the college catalogs when you're looking at them, they say how many Asians are in the school. You know what I mean? Like they'll say this right on the cover. So they want Asians to come to the school. You know what I mean? So I could use that almost to go to anywhere because they need to have a certain quota. You know what I mean? So they're actually encouraging that at that time. This is a much different time. But my guidance counselor, she had told me that I was the #1 college prospect she'd ever seen. And then I had this instance where I took the ASVAB test for New York State. And if I remember this correctly, now my memory could elude me and I could just have like these delusions of grandeur that I've created in my mind to, I don't know, along the way. But when I say something, I believe it to be truth. I believe that what I say is the truth. So I'm pretty sure that I remember I scored the highest on that test in New York State. So the ASVAB test, that was a military test. And so now I remember like getting off a school bus and having all 4 military branches standing there trying to recruit me to go to that branch, you know. So I had a lot of options going for me at the time. But again, I couldn't go home and go say, hey, mom, dad, these people are all interested. What do I do? There's none of that. You know what I mean? There's no conversation at all there. You know what I mean? There's no thought of, hey, where do you want to go to college? Like there's never a conversation like that ever. So it's all on me.
Bring it up to him. I'm like, you didn't like say, stand in the middle of the living room and be like, I got chances to go everywhere, and nobody.
I was just
nobody really paid much attention.
Right. I truly just felt like I was always a bother, and my parents, they had their own they're struggling through life as it was. You know what I mean? And the way like I don't know if they developed my heart to be the way it was, but I just always had this. They say empathy, you know what I mean? Like I'm an empath, you know, where I'm always worried about what someone else is feeling. You know what I mean? So I would never put that thought, you know, to make someone have to worry about me. You know what I mean? So I kind of like just stayed away from all of it, and I never even put it on them or not anything like that. So it definitely, it made tough though. It made it tough. You know what I mean? Like looking back and going back through my life now, like I have been, especially for this, you know, it definitely, these are big things that could have, you know, pushed my life in a different direction, I suppose. You know what I mean? But again, I'm so grateful to be here having this conversation, and had my life went in a different direction, I'm not going to be here. You know what I mean? So everything went the way that it was supposed to, and everything, you know what I mean, is right where it's at. You know what I mean? But I'm just trying to give you a background and how like it all came about, I suppose.
Well, I got to ask, so those opportunities for the college and the military, they just.
Yeah, I mean, I decided to go to college, and I just stayed in the hometown, and I went because you could go in your hometown for free if you graduated with a certain average. And I stayed in the hometown, and I just went to school there. And I remember like right before I went to school, I watched the movie Hackers. I don't know if you ever seen it. Angelina Jolie. Yeah, amazing movie. So from watching that movie, because I was always wanting to be cool, you know what I mean? I always want to be the certain way. So I watched that movie. Now I want to be a computer. Now I want to be a computer programmer. So I went to school for computer science. That's how I decided to go to school for computer science.
And how'd that end? I mean, did you complete it?
I went for 1.5 semester, and then I met my and I actually got a job at that time working for Bartlett Industries. It's, you know, this is really computers, so there's not a whole lot of, you know, programming going on, but like probably the one programmer in our town hired me to be his assistant, and he worked for this company out of Massachusetts, I remember. So I was his assistant, and I was working for the county, and I was going to school. And so I was doing okay, but then I met my ex-wife, and I fell head over heels, and that was a wrap from there, pretty much for all that. Yeah, she came first, and
that pulled you in a very specific direction as well. Yes. So
yeah, absolutely. So
let's get into that. I mean, so you meet your ex-wife, you do a semester and a half at school, you get that job. No drugs yet, no alcohol, nothing like that.
No, there was drugs. So there was, I started smoking pot like my senior year in school, but prior to that, like drinking. Okay. So like if it was like a night where we go out and drink, I'm going to go like all the way in, always. Like I remember I got a fake ID when I was like 15. We go to the bar. I ordered 2 pitchers of beer and I drank the one pitcher, drink the second pitcher, just slam both pitchers. And then I'm just hammered. That's how like I would go about my
Oh
night
wow.
all the time. Like this is how I was. Like I always had this thing, every outside party, I always had to jump the fire, no matter how high it is. Like I don't know. I was this always center of attention type person, always like, I don't know, but really, really fun to be around. And really, I don't know, like I was liked, but I was kind of, I don't know. I don't think necessarily I was a joke, but I kind of wasn't. I was kind of like the joke, I guess. You know what I mean? Like doing stuff like that. Like I was
Well,
never
yeah.
like,
I mean, it seems like you kind of had to bust out of your shell a little bit. I mean, you tried in grade school, high school, college. You were trying for all these certain things, and nothing really worked out. And you meet your girl, and you're kind of just coming out of your shell somewhat and experiencing some freedom, and trying to wanting to be the center of attention, or whatever, guzzling the beer, jumping the fire. Yeah, that's still an attention-seeking type of deal, but you wanted to be the cool kid. You wanted to be the cool
right.
guy. So you kind of were achieving like some of the things you were wanting in that sense.
Yeah, yeah. No, I thought I was, I guess, but no, yeah. I always did have to do those things though, and I always like so in school. Like I tried acid. I remember we went to our senior trip, and we all took like a gel tab for our senior trip, and we went to Darien Lake in New York, and it was a blast, And then the next day, me and my friend, we went back to my house and we watched the movie Friday. I remember like in my room after like tripping all night, like it was an amazing experience. It really was like that movie was awesome.
Great movie.
But so like movies were a big influence. Like I wanted to be like, I wasn't okay with myself. So I was always looking to kind of be someone else. You know what I mean? Like always looking for that. And that kind of carried me through a lot of my life actually, where I was just always like trying to be something different. Like I always, go
Creating some
ahead.
masks along the way.
Yeah.
Um, when did it all start really getting out of hand?
Okay, so now when I meet my ex-wife, so at the time that I met her, I was 17 when I went to college because I graduated with high school when I was 17. My birthday wasn't until November. So when I went to college, I was still 17. So when I met my ex-wife, okay, one other thing I've never really shared with anyone, but I didn't have sex until my prom night. That was like the first time I had sex. And then after that, I had sex with that same person another 4 times. And then she thought she was pregnant, and then we didn't have sex again. And then now next is my ex-wife. Now, and the reason, like I always had girlfriends, but I just was always so worried about like hurting someone's feelings, or like that I never like tried to like do stuff because I didn't ever want to make someone feel uncomfortable. That was always my concern. You know what I mean? Is never making someone feel uncomfortable and just being liked by everyone. Those were the things that I worried about. So, but now I met my ex-wife, and at that time she was 15 and I was 17, and it was just a whole different ball game. You know what I mean? I don't really want to get into everything, but it just
Sure.
I fell like so hard for this person, so hard that I stopped going to school, so hard that I stopped going to my jobs just because I wanted to be around her so much. You know what I mean? And at that time, like she's like in 15, but she's like in and out of school. She's not really going to school so much. You know what I mean? She's more interested in party life at that time because that's
Yeah.
where her friends were, the group of people that she was with. It's nothing to fault her, like she's an amazing person, but so I just gravitated towards that, and I wanted to please her always. So I just wanted to be everything that she needed me to be, that would keep her around. That's all I was trying to do for a very long time, was to keep her interested and to keep her near me. And that's kind of where my life went from there for quite a while.
I think people can relate to that for sure. And then you guys ended up not staying together. Like, did that end, or she's not who
Yeah.
you're
So,
with today?
okay. No, not who I'm with today, but basically, so so I quit all my jobs, and then we went, and we had like this is where my whole disclaimer at the beginning came in. Is because I didn't really want to. I don't know how to really go about this whole area of my life. You know what I mean? But it was such an influential one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
This really
just don't
drove a
name,
lot of
just
my
don't
life.
put names out. Just you don't have to name anybody.
Right. Well, I'm saying my ex-wife, so obviously it's named. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
everyone
okay.
knows that it's her. Type deal. But so
Sure.
that's kind of where the issue lies. But
I get that.
but we experimented a lot. You know what I mean? And we had a lot of fun. We really really did. But this is where I start associating like I said, pleasing someone, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm trying to please her. So I'm always trying to be like fun. Like, I don't feel like I'm good enough unless I'm providing a fun situation. You know what I mean? So
Right.
therefore now everything becomes about just having fun. You know what I mean? Like this has to be fun at all times, you know, and that's kind of where it came about. But so we went through, you know, our little bits of life and everything. And, you know, we had a lot of fun, you know, for one summer. And then the next summer, so this is, like I said, I graduated college 17, then I become 18. So now this is the year after that. So we had a summer of fun. Now the year after that, all of a sudden she got a job at McDonald's right near our town. And so I said, well, she got a job, I might as well go get a job too. So I went and got a job at McDonald's. So now going from where I was at top college, now I'm working, going to McDonald's for a job, right? But within like, I remember when I started McDonald's, I was making $4.75 an hour, right? And
Big bucks.
then within 6 months time, I was running my store making $2,000 a year. So I went from that to that in 6 months. So now we buy a house and we get a car and everything. And then we had a baby. You know, she got pregnant. We had a baby. My most
Oh,
wonderful, beautiful daughter. 1999. This is now. So this is all pretty close together. And then right
yeah.
after we had the baby, we went and bought the house. And like at this time, my credit was so good. I had an unlimited American Express card, unlimited. Like I could spend as much money as I wanted on it. Now I had to pay it back every month, but I could spend as much. You know what I mean? Like if I wanted to go spend $100,000, I don't. Maybe they would cut me off, but pretty much it was unlimited. You know, I didn't have a limit on it, so my credit was really good. I was doing a lot of really good things in my life at this time, being really responsible all of a sudden. You know. But so yeah, so bought a house. My daughter was 6 months old. It was like she was born in July. Now it's that January 1st, and we're moving into our house. You know, so it was pretty cool. But the whole thing with all that was that like, so we still have that same kind of relationship. You know what I mean? Where I'm trying to like, it was just such a hard relationship because she was younger than me, and now I have all this responsibility at work and everything, and with my upbringing, the way I was brought up. So, like, my biggest worry in life for a long time is whether or not she's shutting off the lights when she leaves a room. You know what I mean? So I'm not being like, I don't know. And then the only fun that we're having together is if we are getting something and using something. You know what I mean? That's the only type of fun that we have. So now that's what everything becomes about. You know, we don't know how to have fun without that. And that's kind of
Yeah.
what drugs do to you. You know what I mean? Is once you experience something on this level, now how do I not want that? You know what I mean? How do I just have a normal level now? You know, and I guess that's where certain people don't fall into addiction because they can do that and be okay. But for me, now that's all I think. That's all I want, you know? So that's kind of what happened with her. And then we ended up trying ecstasy for the first time, right? Ecstasy for the first time. My daughter is barely a year old now. Not even a year old, I don't think yet, but in our first time doing ecstasy, and I'm sorry to my ex-wife for saying all this, but our first time doing ecstasy, we think we are the happiest people in the world. And we say, we want to get married. That's what we say. And she says, it's my birthday next weekend, let's get married on my birthday. So now while we're on ecstasy, she calls her sister and says, hey, we want to get married next week. Can we do it out by your house? And her sister lives out by Rochester. So, and then, you know, we finish the night. The next day we wake up and now we're not so much in love anymore as we were. And her sister's got the whole thing set up, ready to go. So that's how we ended up getting married. So we went and got married the next week just based on that. But it wasn't a great week going up to it. And then that night we tried to do it again, and she just got deathly sick that night from it. So it wasn't a good night of that either. But that's how we ended up getting married though. But it probably should have never happened. Like I loved her with all my heart, but I wasn't capable of pleasing someone, you know, that was like her level of person, because she is an amazing person. And I wasn't okay with myself enough to be able to take care of her the way that she needed. You know what I mean? So I was the one that pushed her away for sure.
Yeah. What happens in a lot of those relationships, especially if people are young and they get together, and there's partying involved and all that. It seems like they're only really fun, good moments, or with alcohol or drugs involved. It's like, well, how do we have fun and enjoy each other just watching Friday sober, or going to the
Right.
movies, or going to the park? Now we got a daughter, so now, well, there's less time to do anything. So now you're really only staying together for those. I'm not saying this is what happened, but
Right.
people start to be like, well, all we got, oh, the only fun we have is when we're high or something. And then you realize, man, we really don't know each other that well. We don't have that much in common. And I'm not putting this out there as like that's what happened, but I mean, I'd have to assume that marriage didn't last terribly too long.
No, I didn't. It was about 2 years long, I think, altogether. Yeah, and then
And,
it ended in
you know,
divorce. But but she like the way that it ended, it was, like I said, I pushed her away. You know what I mean? So, but then something happened, and then we got divorced. But when we went down and got divorced, I went right with her the next day after something specific happened. We went down, and the attorney said that he'd never seen this ever in his entire life. Like, we went there together and filed for divorce together. You know what I mean? This is how like civil I was and okay with everything. I just knew that it had to happen. You know what I mean? I wasn't okay with what happened. But again, like at that time, I didn't necessarily see everything. You know what I mean? Like, I thought, like, I'm providing, I'm being a big provider, I'm doing all this, you know what I mean? But I wasn't being what someone would need me to be. I really wasn't being. So
understandable. So you guys split up then, and then the daughter, she went with the mother.
no, at that time, she actually stayed with me. The mother was like working, and she was a bartender at that time. This is the part of our issue too, so she's bartending, and she's more of the partier at this time, and I'm sorry to her to say this, but this is my life story here. So, but she
Yeah.
really, really was. So at this time, I took on full responsibility of my daughter for the next year of my life. I just made everything about her. It was me and her for everything. Like, I didn't care about being around anyone. I didn't care. I just cared about having her. She was my best friend, and I did so many amazing things with this child, like amazing, amazing things. And I would say that for about the first like 7 years, from the age of 2 to 3 to 7, there was not a better dad in the world than I was. Like, I would give myself that title, best dad in the world, because I was such a great dad to her, and I did so many great things to lift her up and to like encourage her in a way that like it wasn't done for me. You know what I mean? Made a lot
I
of
thought,
mistakes too. Like, I definitely made a lot of silly mistakes,
oh,
but
sure, but it sounded like you did that right. I mean, you gave up whatever you were trying to like pursue fun wise and self fulfilling for you, and you sacrificed a lot for her.
right,
But
absolutely.
there, but that eventually came to somewhat of a halt or an end.
Yeah.
And
In the midst of all this, in the midst of all this, I started, like I spoke about with you before, I got in a car accident. And it was basically 2 years to the day after the car accident. All of a sudden, like my back starts hurting. Like, my back really, really started hurting all of a sudden. Like, and I know it was 2 days to the day because we just settled. My lawyer said to wait to give it 2 years because a lot of like back injuries take that long to start before we settled. And literally we settled, and I all of a sudden that night I felt this little knot in my back, and then it got pretty bad. And so then Actually, I'm sorry. So prior to this, when we got the divorce, I was depressed from it and everything. And I went to the doctor, and then that was when I got put on benzos. That's when I first experienced benzos. And it made me not care. You know what I mean? It made me not depressed anymore. Now all of a sudden I'm just okay. You know what I mean? I remember one day my friend came over 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, let's drink a beer. You know what I mean? And I was like, whereas before this, I mean, I was just dead to the world. And so that I remember that though. Yeah, I really, really liked that a lot. And then immediately, like pretty quickly with everything I ever did, I started pushing the limits on it, where else. And so I'm trying to take more and take more. So that was always a problem. But yeah, the big problem really happened for me was when the opiates came about. That was the big deal. The first time I got prescribed the opiates, like I told you, the doctor gave me Darvocet, and I took them all. And within 2 days, I took all 60 of them. And I remember the one night I went it was a bowling night, and I went bowling, and I bowled so good, and I was such the life of the party. Like, I felt so great. So then I fell in love with them, and I went back to the doctor the next day. I told him that they gave me a headache, and he wrote me a script for hydros, and then it was pretty much a wrap from there. And I acquired them. At first it was from the doctor. I scammed. I'd go to the doctor like twice a month, and I'd get 2 prescriptions a month. One I would go fill at the pharmacy under my insurance. The other one I would go to one of the other 2 pharmacies that weren't linked to that pharmacy chain or whatever, so I could fill it and pay for it out of pocket. So then there was 2 prescriptions there, and about I don't know, a year in doing that, this lady at work one day just mentioned that she had this pill and this pill, and so I asked her about it, and I was her boss and everything, and she had all sorts of oxycodones, oxy cotton. She had all the morphines, all of them, and she sold them all to me for $2 a piece. I remember I had this bottle that was like this, just full of them. And I thought I'm going to have these forever, but they did not last forever. They didn't last very
Well,
long at all. No, but
no,
I
I
was
mean
taking one of each. I remember it's taking one of each of them at a time. Yeah. And it was,
that escalated quickly, and
yeah.
I mean through all that, this during this whole time, this year and a half, 2 years, your daughter's still with you, and how's that relationship
Yeah.
going?
Yeah. Yeah, it was still good. It was still good. But now, like looking back, like I had to have stuff, to do things. But looking back, I don't have all the memories that I had prior to that. You know what I mean? Like whereas before that, all the little vacations, the little things we did, I remember them fully. But now everything's all foggy. You know what I mean? From that point on, like I know I still did all these things, but I wasn't. The memories aren't there. But
Right.
so I don't really know necessarily how good I was doing. You know what I mean? Like it felt like I was still, because I'm still doing all the things that I always did for her, but just the memories aren't there. You know what I mean? It's all kind of clouded over. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah,
never took anything like to where she would ever notice. You know what I mean? Like I hid this from everybody. Like
that's what I was going to ask.
nobody in the world
If you
knew.
if you think she started noticing any kind of difference in your behavior and personality and whatnot, but eventually though, there was a separation with her and you. If you want to talk
Yep.
about how that came about, because I mean,
Okay.
your pills and all that kept getting out of control. The bottle you had
Yeah.
didn't last. So
Yeah. So okay. So but
take a
then
take a
basically.
breath for this one, Gio. We're
Okay,
getting deep
I got
into
you.
it, brother.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're
It's
starting to
your
get into it
story.
for sure. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so now I'm at McDonald's at this time, right? So I became the general manager of McDonald's. So I have my own store, right? And so everything that goes out, I'm so capable, you know what I mean, at doing a job and everything that I'm like I said I was the best dad. I would say for the first like 2 years of McDonald's, there was not a better McDonald's manager in the history of McDonald's managers. Like I really, really
I
kind
love
of,
that.
and I really truly believe this.
I
But
hear it.
so, but I'm running my store so good that we are making like our profit margins over the other owners' stores are so high, right? Like my store is so much more profitable than all the other stores. So therefore I was able to take money like every which way possible from this store. You know what I mean? Like I knew every single possible way that I could skim money, you know what I mean? Every single way possible that I could do this, and with that, and I'm still running the better store than anyone else. So no one's even thinking to look into anything. You know what I mean?
Because you're still on top.
To yeah.
Lost you for a second. Audio's gone.
Am I back yet?
There you go.
Hello. Hello,
Yep.
hello. Okay, all right. Yeah. So, but if I'm so profitable over anyone else, why are you even going to look into it? You know what I mean?
That
But
makes sense.
yeah, and then at one point in time, I figured out this way to like scam the store that basically I had an extra $5,000 a week that nobody ever noticed this. Right, so $5,000 a week, and this went on for about 5 years. Where this is on top of everything else. So, and I'm spending like I stopped paying all bills. I stopped paying everything. You know what I mean? And everything's going to these pain pills. You know, everything's going, and I'm buying scripts off everyone. At first, it started out I'm paying $2 for all the scripts for each pill. But now because I want them and I need them, I'm offering, if you can get me these today, I'll give you this much, and I single-handedly drove that price from $2 to $5 in New York State. I believe this to be true too. I single-handedly was the reason why the price went from $2 to $5 on them. But so now
Okay.
that's what I'm offering. And I was buying at one point in time, if I remember correctly, 19 scripts a month. That's 120 pills, 19 different times, paying $5 a pill each. So that's $600 per script, 19 scripts a month. That's what I was paying. And there were days where if I would get down to where like my bag even looked like I needed to count it, I would count out so I would have 2 an hour to take, like so I could take 2 every hour. You know what I mean? And then see how long that would last me. This is how I had to do it. I would have to wake up an hour early in the morning to take 2 just so I could function to get off. You know what I mean? Like it got pretty rough at times. It really, really did. But so now everything kind of came to a halt, right, at McDonald's, because it's like Okay. So I have this owner at McDonald's now that bought the store, and I'm getting away with all this. But now he changes the way that they're doing this one certain thing. I don't really want to like go into full detail because I don't know what
No
how
need.
far back that they can go if someone saw this or whatever. So I'm not trying to put too much information on it, but like, so he changes this. So now all of a sudden I lose out that 5, 10, 20,000, or what I say? Yeah, $20,000 a month. I lose out. That's just gone all of a sudden. But I still have my full addiction. I still have everything I'm doing to survive. You know what I mean? To live. So now I had to come up with other ways to get this money. You know what I mean? Because I can't just stop. I didn't know how to stop. So
Right.
in doing this other way. So now I start like floating deposits. I'm like making deposits late. You know what I mean? And there's like $4,000 deposit, 5,000, and I'm like a day behind, day behind, day behind. And then like I'm like 10 days behind on deposits. Nobody's saying a word to me about this, but I'm just barely making these deposits. And then all of a sudden, one day, the supervisor that I had, he came and he said that they need all the money up until this day. They need it by today. They need all the money today because they don't have the money for payroll. Now this is on a Sunday, so now I'm all this way behind on deposits. So now all of a sudden I need to come up with $27,000 right at once. Now that's how much money I need to come up with. So now I finagled every which way possible to get money. I remember I sold my DVD collection. I had 862 DVDs. I sold them all, $1 each. I got $862. But somehow or another, I came up with a hair under $20,000. So, but I needed 27,000. Right. So
Sure.
the whole thing is that the supervisor that I had, he didn't do his job well. You know what I mean? And I knew this. So, and he was mad because I actually, my paycheck was like quite a bit higher than him because the previous owner liked me so much that she paid me more. So he was always like kind of like resented me for this and wasn't very nice to me. So when I brought him the package, I brought him the package with all the deposits in there, and I wrote what the amount was on the envelope. They're all in there now for him. So now he needs to sign off on this too. And I know he's not going to count the money. You know what I mean? So I know he's going to sign off on it. So I give him an open envelope there. So for you to count the money, and now he's going to sign it and close the envelope. I know he's going to do this because I know how the person he is. So if this ever comes about, I'm going to just say, well, I gave him all the money. You know what I mean? He signed it, said all the money was there. I gave it to him. It's out of my hands. That was my whole plan. So now, a little over a month goes by and nothing said. That happened on December 20th. I remember now it is January 12th. And the whole thing was on January 5th. All of a sudden, I got a call because a year earlier, when I didn't get a raise because the owner said I made too much money, so he said he was going to put me on this bonus structure. But it was the second year in a row that he done that. I knew it wasn't going to happen, so I went and applied with like some employment agencies. I applied with a D.O.C employment agency. So on January 5th, now this happened December 20th, January 5th, I get a call and they say that they're opening a new Dunkin' Donuts, kind of near me, and they want me to open the store for them, be the general manager of the store. So at the time I agreed. I thought coffee and donuts compared to burgers, and plus this thing's looming out there, so I took the job. So I put in my notice. So now all of a sudden the consultant, the McDonald's, all people, he notices that this money's gone, right? So now, even though nobody in the world thinks that this is me, when I tell you 99% of anyone who knew me fought for me saying I did not do this. Like nobody realized the person that I was. Nobody, anybody like my fiance at the time didn't, like just nobody. I hid this from everybody. You know what I mean? Nobody thought that this was me. Nobody thought I was capable of this. And, but where is it? Okay. So now when the cops come and everything, they start questioning and stuff. I remember the cops, they brought me down to the police station and they said to me, there's 3 reasons why someone would take money like this. They said, first of all, they have a drug problem, which we don't think that's you. Second, they have a gambling second, they need it for their family. You drive the best car on the street. Third, they have a gambling problem. So we just don't get it. But they said drug problem. They said, we don't think that that's you. They said that clearly. So, I mean, I truly was like someone like nobody knew. I didn't even know who I was at that time, But basically, and then they're just like, if you did this, you got to tell us now because we can help you now. This is my first time in front of police. We can help you now. So I kind of halfway admitted it. You know what I mean? I end up halfway admitting it. And then I realized what I was doing because I was starting to write something down. Then I said, no, I'm not doing this. I ripped it up. But then 3 days later, they arrested me for it. So,
boy.
so now, and I started at Dunkin' Donuts. I'm building a new store. You know what I mean? We're like, I'm going there and I go to Dunkin' Donuts. I show up and the two big Dunkin' Donut, they call them mums, multi-unit managers. They're both sitting there. They have the newspaper sitting there, front page of the paper. George Eissler, that's my full name, George Eissler. You know, falsifying business records, and then grand larceny. You know what I mean? They got the article right there, full page of the paper. Now I'm going to be opening the store for these people. And somehow I talked my way right out of that. I talked my way right out of it. You know what I mean? I put it all on the other guy. I gave the other guy the bag. You know, I gave it all to him exactly the way I planned it all out. You know, I said it all to him. So they just said to me, all right, all right. You know, they said, well, stay out of the safe. But the first day we were so busy that I had to go right in the safe. So it didn't matter. But then, yeah. But then all that continued there. Dunkin' Donuts, same exact issues. You know, the whole deposit thing, everything.
You just started over at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, basically. And with that, I ended up getting a really good attorney. My grandmother, who I love very, very much, is amazing. She sent me $5,000, and I went and I gave it as a retainer for like the best attorney in the area. And when he went to court, he comes out and he said, all right, they're going to drop it all to a misdemeanor petty larceny. He said, take it. It's a slap on the wrist. No probation, no nothing. And then he says, but they want restitution for the $7,000. He says, but you can use the $5,000 that I put up as a retainer. Like, that's supposed to be your money. So but he let me use that to pay for it. So it was really, really weird. And so I didn't. So all I ended up paying was like $2,000 for all that. Yeah, but I got off that. It was just a misdemeanor. So that worked out pretty good in my favor. And then the Dunkin' Donuts thing, I traveled around Dunkin' Donuts. I still ran really good stores. I was still very good at my job, but same issues. You know what I mean? I was still with the pills, all that and everything. So I was still like just coming up with ways to make money, coming up with ways to do it, you know, and then that caught up with me too.
So Dunkin' Donuts ends eventually though. How long was you there?
About 2.5 years.
Okay.
I made it 2.5 years there.
Did that end similarly to McDonald's? Or
yeah, same exact way. Yeah, same exact way with deposit. Yeah, same exact way deposit, everything. But somehow or another, like I do the kid the kid that was my boss was a friend, was someone I graduated high school with. So like he just, I don't know, I just got fired. I just got let go. And that was basically it there. So I don't know. So nothing happened. I got no charges from that or anything. So, now
you're not working, still addicted, full out to the pills.
Right. Still full on addicted. And now I have no way to get anything right now. And at this time now, my fiance that I was with, I remember like at this, like she left me, you know, And so now I'm just at my house by myself and I'm addicted, right? I have full on addiction that really nobody necessarily knows about because nobody thinks I did all that. You know, I mean, nobody realizes any of this. And yeah, I fully remember that. And I remember the day.
Your daughter's still with you at this point?
Yeah, my daughter's still with me, but she's with her mom too now. You know what I mean? So it's like a mixture now at this point in time. But I had my fiance. No, not at that point. No, she is with me. My daughter's still with me. Just her mom's like a little bit on the weekends and stuff. And then now I have my fiance, and we had another child. So now we have a child, my fiance and my daughter. We're all there. And then that happened at Dunkin' Donuts. I lost that job, and I remember this one day. Okay, so at this time I had so all this is in my head, right? I'm having like such a hard time. Like I'm keeping so much in my head, like away, not telling anyone, nothing. And I remember like I could not sleep to save my life. You know what I mean? I could not, like if I lay down, like I'm not falling asleep for anything because I'm just thinking about all this. You know what I mean? My life has gotten so bad. You know what I mean? Like I don't have any way to do anything now. I don't know how to do anything anymore. And but all I can still think about is just wanting these pills, but like there's no amount of pills really that ever is going to make me happy. So it's just a really, really hard situation that I was in at this point. And I remember, but I'm still going to the doctor, getting pills, all that, and then I'm getting benzos, and now I start getting Ambient, and that was crazy. I don't know. Yeah, I probably don't want to tell that story. That story's a little rough now I think about it, but it was a funny story, but probably not appropriate for this.
Yeah. But let's skip to 2015.
Okay, so 2015, yes. Well, no, let's go. We gotta go 2000. Okay, so this is all 2011, right?
Okay.
So now from there, 2012. So now at this point in time, my ex-fiance leaves me, and now I still have my daughter, but it really is not as like she's going to school, she's staying at my house, but I don't know, but it's just a really, really weird time. Like in my, I'm not being a good dad at all. I'm just, I don't know how to, I'm not doing anything with my life. You know what I mean? At this time, like I'm just, I met this new girl and like her mother would give her pills. So we are just getting like a little bit of pills from her mother every day. But this is my whole life. It's just getting those couple pills from her. You know what I mean? And at this time, like I don't know how I'm gonna pay my rent every month. I don't know what day my lecture is getting shut off. Time like it was not fun at all. But now the whole thing. So now in 2012, this is like a big turning point in my life. That's why I'll go there with it. So
Sure, sure,
2012,
sure.
they start let me think how to approach this. Okay. Actually, okay. So 2012, I started working at Burger King. 2012, got a job at Burger King. And then my friend that was a friend of mine that worked for me at McDonald's, he got me a job at this place called Steel Treaters. So this is like my first ever factory job. And at this time, I have no way to get pills. I have no way to get anything. So I was sober for a period of about little bit less than 2 months where I was dead sober, but I hated every minute of it. Like I said, I could not sleep. Like I would take 20, 30 Tylenol PM every night just to try to fall asleep for a little while. Like it was not a fun situation, a fun time. But I
No,
got these two jobs and now, but I was not good at working anymore. Now I go to work and I'm not good at all. Like I remember I went to work first time at the factory. The first weekend I worked there, they said that I wasn't going to make it a month, right? And now that same week, I remember as a day I was at Burger King and I heard about how they're selling all these legal drugs in our stores here, that they're selling this legal Coke and legal Molly and legal all these things. So I went to the head shop here in town and I got it. And you know, this is what comes about as being bath salts. So
yeah.
this is where bath salts comes from. So so yes, we gotta get into
Feeling it, ain't you?
all right. So yeah, so bath salt comes from this is where this. So now I get that, and the first time that I'm using that, all of a sudden now I was great at my job, and I felt like so good. You know what I mean? Like
I
it
get
took
it.
away everything. It took away like all my just everything. Now when I went to that factory job next, they said that I was gonna be the quickest ever floor manager. Right now I'm gonna be the quickest ever floor manager. Like it, so it's a pretty amazing thing. And but just from this thing that I'm buying at the store, right? So I got really, really bad with that, of course, because I get bad with everything. But so when I was doing that, there was a month when I first started that because I go to the doctor every single month, right? And when I go to the doctor, I would go there and he would weigh me every month. And so I was heavy at this time. I was between like 200, I get up to like 210 pounds down to like, and I'm only, like I said, 5'6".
Wow,
And
with
the
me.
month before I started bath salts, weighed 183. The month after I did it, I was down to 137 pounds, like in
Holy smoke.
28 days times 183 to 137. This is how strong of a drug that was. And they're selling it right there at the stores. So this like completely like just took over my life completely. But so now this is where like I first started noticing, you know, big things with like something above me, you know what I mean, what was directing me and that was like leading me, you know. This is kind of where it first started happening because there was this one day where I was on my way to my job at Steel Treaters, and I always when I would get there, I would always be exactly like 1 minute late. So my boss, he called me up on this day and he said, "Are you going to be late?" And I said, "No, I'm going to be 10 minutes early because I was 10 minutes away, right where I was. I was 10 minutes away from the shop and I knew I was going to be there 10 minutes early." So now at this time, like I had been doing these bath salts for weeks now, like 3 weeks at this point in time. And I hadn't slept. I hadn't been eating. Like I said, I lost all that weight. Like that's like really like you can't lose all that weight like that. So I'm very, very unhealthy. And somehow or another, I'm still driving, but when I said this to him, now I said, I'm going to be there. I'll be there 10 minutes early. Next thing I know, I am like all the way down this huge long driveway and I'm like leaning up against my car. I look at my watch and I was supposed to be there at 10 o'clock. Now it's 10:20. So from I should have been there at 9:50. It's 10:20. So I had 40 minutes time where I just drove and I don't remember any of it. I just drove and I drove 20, I drove 30 minutes past my job all the way down this huge long driveway, got out and leaned against the front of my car. I have no idea like how I did that. I don't know. Like it doesn't, I don't understand. You know what I mean? Like, why would I even go past my work? Where did I go? I had to like GPS to get back to the job. You know what I mean? Like it was absolutely insane. So I feel like that was like the first time that really God had to like truly intervene to care for me. You know what I mean? And I didn't really understand all this until now, you know what I mean? Until it got me to this point that I'm at now, that I can see all this and understand that more so. You know what I mean? Like I'd never understood that. You know what I mean? Like how is that even possible that I could drive for 40 minutes and not even remember a second of it, not even know where I'm driving, drive all the way down this huge long driveway, get out of my car and just be completely unscathed. Like I don't know how that's possible.
I mean, it was, or I'd say I was like blackout type of deal, but to not wreck, not run a stoplight, not get pulled over, not hit anybody.
Nothing.
This is in the Chicago area.
Right. Yeah.
So
It was a
there's
very, very
traffic.
busy area. Yeah. Crazy busy area. Yes. Yeah.
But I mean, so you did ingest, take some bath salts before you were going to work. And you don't
Yeah.
remember like having an extra feeling a little bit more than usual that
Oh no,
before
I
you
remember
just,
that day I was a mess that day. Yeah, no, I was an absolute mess because I hadn't been sleeping in so long, and no, I was a mess on my way there. But I still knew the time, and I still knew when I was going to be there and everything like that. But no, I was a complete mess driving there. It was a really, you know,
well,
what I mean, like I knew how bad I was,
God
but
protected not only you but everybody else
everybody, yeah, I never
that
even
was
thought about
around you
that.
on those roads.
Yeah, I never even thought about that. But yeah, absolutely. And I, you know, my entire life, like he's had to do that so much to get me to this point in time now. But it is amazing though that
It's a miracle. It's a
how,
miracle. There's nothing else
yeah,
you can call but a miracle.
right, miracle,
But
absolutely. I
you
would
were
definitely
okay.
use
So
that.
you come to, you get your GPS, you
Yeah,
get
I
back
go
to
back
work.
to work. Yeah, I went back to work and tried to work that day, but I ended up getting fired that day anyway because I ended up admitting to the guy that I was using them, and yeah, I ended up getting fired. But I was such a mess that I couldn't do anything anyway at that point. You know, I'd been up for so long, and it was really bad situation. Yeah, but from that though, after like okay, so again, this is one of these things where I remember something a certain way, but it doesn't necessarily seem possible. But like when I tell you that weight thing, that 100% is a true fact that 183 to 137 pounds. And when I went to the doctor, he said, "Oh, he said you lost weight. Good job." Like I thought he's going to know. Like, oh my God, he's going to know, you know. But no, he said you lost weight. Good job. But everyone else knew at this point, you know. I was on probation at this time, and probation officer knew. Like it was really tough time. Yeah, it was.
Geo,
I blew myself into probation over that, but.
Geo, you think, looking back on it, I don't know if you spent any time thinking this, but you get to work, you're not feeling it. You say you ended up admitting to your boss you've been using it and doing some stuff. Well, I mean, you drive for 40 minutes, you don't know where you are. It almost feels like you're kind of like convicted and pushed to do that. Like, why would you just decide to tell them? Like, you felt like you were kind of at a breaking point at that point. I mean, you were so good at your job, you get promoted, you're doing this, and
No.
you're
At
just
this
like,
time,
hey,
I
boss.
wasn't though. No, I was a mess at this time. No, there was no hiding it
So
anymore. Basically, you know what I mean. No, I couldn't
you
even
weren't
focus
you
a
weren't
thought for a
functioning. You weren't a
second.
functioning addict anymore.
No, I was no longer a functioning. No, there's no longer hiding it at this point, right? This
Right.
is where it all came about. That's why that drug right there specifically was so life changing for me because then after that, like I still obviously continued to use it, but it was shortly thereafter where I had like this big revelation. There was a point in time where like I crawled around the crawl space of my house for 5 hours, thinking the cops were after me, and like this was a big huge thing. But yeah, this isn't where like, but so now, but from all that, all of a sudden I remember it's the next day. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm trying to text these two people, and like all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, it just hit me like I am the fakest person that there is. Nobody knows who I am. I lie to everyone about everything. It hit me like all at once. You know what I mean? Like and like all those thoughts about like McDonald's and how like nobody knew, and like at that like up till that, like I was proud of that fact. You know what I mean? Like I thought like I was like something that was like the fact that I could con everybody, you know what I mean? Like it like meant something to me that I could do that at that time. You know what I mean? Like the one person that I told about this, like I like said it like proudly to him. You know what I mean? Like and even like all this stuff, you know, like up until recently, you know, when everything's happened, which we'll get to, you know, with the whole God and everything, like that's when it all like comes kind of full circle and I see like just how much like my life was like led to this point. Like I know this interview, like it kind of got away from me when I started telling like these stories, and I haven't really dove into all this in like so long, you know what I mean? That I kind of like got drawn out, and I kind of lost like my whole focus of where like the topic was all going, you know what I mean? Because it was all to build up to this one spot, but
I think you're
felt like
doing
it
well.
kind of, yeah.
I mean,
But
it's heavy. So,
yeah,
but I mean, this is
yeah.
you finally reached the point where, I mean, the whole time you was at McDonald's, getting away, kind of, just paying
Yeah, and no trouble
the
at this
fine
point.
off.
At this point, I have
You're
no
smart,
jail
so
time.
you were thinking you were kind of special. You was able to
Right.
do all these pills and pass
Yeah.
off and go to work, and like, like
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah,
really good
no jail
functioning
time.
addict. Nobody knew nothing.
Yeah, right. No jail time at this time or anything.
So now you couldn't
Over
deny
that
it.
bath salt, when I tell you, right, when I tell you that 28-day bath salt binge, there was one night I went to jail for a night because I got pulled over. That is a crazy story too. But that was the first time I ever spent a night in jail, And then my ex-wife, the one that I spoke about, she bailed me out the very next day. And she gave me $20, and I went and bought bath salts at the store. Like, that's so crazy. And even though that night while I was in jail, I prayed, God, if you get me out of here, you know what I mean? I'll stop doing drugs. I remember saying that. That's the first time I heard about shots. It's the first time like I ever really prayed, I think. Was that point in time. But yeah, I prayed that, you let me get out of here, I won't do. And then that next day, I remember she gave me $20, because I had nothing. And I remember I went to the store and I bought those. Yeah, I remember, and I felt really bad. But I did end up admitting that to her, saying I did that when I had this huge revelation that nobody knew me, and then from that point on, like I tried to live honestly, and like I'd like to say like I was just perfectly honest from that point on. I was for a moment, but it wasn't. It didn't necessarily always continue. I realize now. But yeah, that next day after I had that huge revelation, I remember my parents. So I'm still using now. Bath salts are really, really bad because they get in your head so bad. Like I said, I crawled around the crawl space of my house for 5 hours thinking cops were chasing me, like 5 straight hours, like thinking they're crawling after me, And then somehow or another, I thought that this was fun afterwards. I thought that this is funny. It's a funny story, and thought it was fun. But now it's the next day. I remember it's like 6 o'clock at night. I have my door barricaded with like a table, my bed, everything. And my parents showed up, and my sister showed up in my house. And they brought me to the hospital. So now I just had this huge revelation that I'm going to be honest and everything. So my parents are trying to ask me, if I'm going to use drugs, and I'm telling them as soon as I can sell this PlayStation in my bag, I'm going to go buy some stuff. And this is what I'm saying to my parents. So they're like thinking like I'm out of my mind, you know what I mean? Because why would I say that to them? But to me, I'm being honest now. I'm going to be this new honest person. And this is what I was saying. So they brought me to the hospital after all this, and they tried to get me committed at the hospital. But they ran all these tests, everything on me. And the only thing that was wrong with me at this time was I had low potassium. That was it. They said, eat a banana. And then they said, we can't do anything because he's not a harm to himself or a harm to others. So I got so they let me go out of there. But yeah, my parents tried to have me committed. I remember that. It's not a fun time.
You know what I was just thinking when you were saying, "Oh, I'm on this honest streak. I'm just being truthful with everybody." You're still using the honesty. Here's what happened. The addiction got so bad that the honesty that you're on validates your drug use to continue, because you're like, well, at least I'm being honest now with everybody.
Right. Yeah,
I'm gonna go
absolutely.
get some drugs.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what's after that, because that's the last thing you got is like, well, I'm being honest. I'm gonna, so yay for you.
Right. Yeah. Well, fuck you. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, don't get mad at me. I just need to eat a banana and go buy some bath salts. I'm doing just fine. Right. That's insanity a little bit. Would you agree?
Oh, it's definitely, absolutely.
So
insanity.
they were in their right mind to try to get you anywhere but your house or on the streets at that point. They were just trying to save your life. Right.
Oh, absolutely were. Yeah. And I didn't even like care for a second that they were there. I didn't care about any of it. And then, but after that but I remember, so that night that I went to jail, right, for that one night, I remember I was so scared, and I was so like, and other people were just so comfortable there, and I just didn't know how that they're enjoying themselves. You know what I mean? I'm scared out of my, you know what I mean? I was like trying to fake anxiety attacks and everything. And like, I don't know, it's a really, really like crazy situation for me to be there for that one night, but that was just the beginning of it, like how far and how bad that all this got, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, that's what I was about to warn people. Like, if we ended it there and you're like, oh, I found God and everything was good, and I'm doing these videos and telling people my story, that would be enough. But from what you told me,
that's very nothing. Yeah.
it got worse because I know that 2015's coming, and that's where I was thinking that, like, I mean, how much more could you put yourself through?
Right, right.
But
No, yeah, no, it got quite bad from here for sure. But so yeah, after that, so now that all happens. I had that big revelation. So now at least I'm being honest. At one point I put on Facebook, I said $10,000, try hundreds of $1,000s. I wrote that on Facebook talking about McDonald's. I remember I made that post on there, you know, trying to be
smart.
honest. You know what I mean? I'm being honest now. So I wrote that on there. I remember that. And so, but yeah, at that point, like I blew myself into everybody, you know what I mean? Anyone that was doubting me, anyone that was thinking all this, you know what I mean? Yeah, I completely blew myself in. But yeah, during that whole entire like bath salt, like that 28-day period where I lost all that weight, like I don't think I slept the entire time. Like when I tell the story, I think I stayed up for 28 straight days. I know that that's pretty much impossible, but that's what it felt like to me. And I think the only thing I ate that whole entire time was when that night in jail, I ate one bite of oatmeal, and this lady tried to get me to eat once, and I ate half a chicken nugget. That's all I remember eating that entire time when I lost all that weight. But I did like losing all that weight though. That felt good, I tell you that. But so yeah, that whole crawling around the crawl space, like that ended with like the crazy hallucination, cops all in my house and stuff. And then yeah, it was crazy. Someday I can share. I do got to write a book and like share all these like intricate things, but it gets away from like the topic, you know what I mean? But I'm just trying to show how absolutely lost that I was, you know what I mean? Like this was my life, and this is like to come from where I had all this potential and I had all this going for me to now where I'm crawling around a crawl space and I think that I'm having fun by myself, you know what I mean? Like, and that this is like what my life became, you know what I mean? And somehow or another, I was okay with it, you know what I mean? I'm not okay with it. And the fact that I can't sleep, you know what I mean? My head was so screwed up, but I tell you that after that whole revelation there, where now I'm going to be honest and start being true, like my sleep did get better. Like I did have like a little bit easier time after that, I do believe, from that point on, once I stopped holding everything in and just thinking about like just everything that I've done wrong and just, you know, like not telling anyone, trying to like hide it all from everyone. Like that did change that a bit.
And God was trying to get through to you.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
because
Yeah.
to say at that point, to say you're starting to have some clarity, some moments of like, man, I'm not doing so good. Like it was kind of breaking through. I would dare say that you had some narcissistic tendencies. Like that ego was
Okay.
big, not 10,000, 100,000 in the
Right.
midst of
Right.
the addiction. So there was some narcissism going on there. But
Okay.
you were starting to think that like, okay, I'm doing better. You know, I'm handling some things a little bit better. I'm sleeping more. But it got worse.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely got worse. So, but right after that, so what happened from that point right there on was I ended up so I got charged with a probation violation. Like I said, I was on probation and I had blown myself in. One day I thought that the probation officer came to my house and she installed all this like house arrest equipment. And like I called her up and I asked her if I could leave my house. And she said, "Why would you be asking me this?" And I said, "Because you came and installed all the house arrest equipment and you put a monitor in my shoe." And none of this. And she said, "You haven't been to court yet. You need to come into the office today." And then I ended up telling her I was on bath salts that day. So then when I went to my probation violation, she ended up putting me in jail. Now, this is the first time I went to jail where I actually went to jail. And I went for 1 week. But when I went to jail that night before, you know, and I was all nervous. Now, this time after I went to jail and I was like Joe Cool, like in jail. Like I went in there and they said, "What are you here for?" And I said, what did I say? I said doing bath salts, and like, you know what I mean? I was like proud of it, like wore it like a badge of honor even, you know what I mean? But now all of a sudden I'm like not worried about being in jail. I'm like having fun with it. And then from there, like I got the probation officer, they let me go to rehab. So I went to jail for 1 week. And then from there I went to rehab. And when I went to rehab again, same exact thing, you know, I had a ball, like I had fun. But the one thing that the bath salts did for me was it took me off the opiates. That was like the big thing from that, was because now all of a sudden I'm not in opiate withdrawal. You know what I mean? Because that's what I turned to, was from that. You know what I mean? So it took away. So now I was able to, I felt good now somehow or another. You know what I mean? Like whereas before when I stopped the opiates and I couldn't get them anymore, and all of a sudden like I didn't have like I didn't know how to my body did not know how to function at all. Like trying to go to work and everything, like I just was such a shell of myself. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know how to be like that. So then now I had the basalt binge, and now all of a sudden, like I don't know, like I feel good, like I'm like I lost all that weight, you know. So right there alone, that gave me some confidence, you know what I mean? And so I kind of ran with that for a little while, you know. But as soon as I got out of that rehab, I ended up using, and I went back to my doctor. I got my prescriptions back, everything, and then right away, you know what I mean? Now I'm right back on pills and everything again. Right after that. So, and then
but back on like the hydrocodone or the
yeah, the oxycodone at that time. I was on oxycodone, 10
those,
milligrams.
but those started after you started taking them again. Like the effect wasn't the same. I remember
No,
you saying
it
they
wasn't
started to
this.
kind of lose their effect.
Absolutely, started really, really bad losing its effect. But so and it became like so. But I went from taking like hundreds a day to taking like, you know what I mean, trying to like control it and everything. So, but it wasn't really. At that point, I didn't really care about them anymore. The basalts had taken over. That was like my focus was like, but they didn't sell them anymore. They stopped selling them in the store. So then that's when I started turning to other things to try to get that feeling. Like it wasn't necessarily about opiates anymore, but it was about other things. And then that's like how start hanging around with this person, this person. I remember specifically it was two girls, which I don't think either of them is with us anymore. I'm pretty sure both of them passed away. But yeah, that's when like so now I got around people that were like smoking hard and everything. And now these are the first time that I'm doing this. So yeah, so now it's 2015. And yeah, I'm literally trying heroin for the first time. I'm trying smoking crack for the first time. And yeah, and then that's pretty much that took over from there. You know, it really, really did. And from 2015, so in 2015, the beginning of it, I ended up going to jail. And when I went to jail that time, I ended up being like, this is the first, like the other time I served the week, and now I go to jail, and I ended up being there for 4 months. You know, but how I went there, the circumstances I went there, I didn't think I was going to be there for long at all. Like I thought I was going to get right out. So I had everything that I owned during that time when I was in jail, that one specific time, everything I owned got thrown away. So that was all of my kids' memories. That was all of my videos. Like I recorded everything of my daughter's life. Like I had every special moment of her life on video.
Man.
All the pictures. The only picture I had of my real mother. This is just my whole entire life got thrown in the garbage. Like my entire life. So I remember this time specific when I got out of jail that time, like I have a paper bag of stuff. I just got told that all my stuff got thrown out. I don't know where to even go. You know what I mean? Like, and this is the first time in my life where I'm not relying on myself. You know what I mean? Where I don't like have a plan. I don't even know what to do. I didn't even know what direction to walk in. You know what I mean? I really, really like I was so completely lost at that time. And at that time, when I was in jail, I watched a show called Drugs Inc. and I seen kids on there and they were doing duster, you know, air duster. So I don't know how much you're familiar with that, but now at this time, I have no way to get any drugs. I have no way to get anything. But I remember that I just my head was so bad that I felt so uncomfortable every second of every day. Like I tried to go like around my mother, and I felt so like just I didn't know what to do with my life. I had no idea what to do, and I was so terribly, terribly, terribly uncomfortable. And then I remember thinking about that person, you know, doing the duster at the store. So I could probably get a can of duster. I rode with my mom to Walmart, stole a can of duster. Now all of a sudden, for half an hour of my time, I don't care that I don't feel that I feel this way. You know what I mean? So I have a half hour of relief. You know what I mean? And that's the only half hour I get is when I have that can. So then that got pretty bad for me for, you know, a good month time where like I'm doing this. And there's like a lot of stories that go into this where like one time I was in a bathroom and I passed out. I wake up to police. They bring me to the hospital. I walk out of the hospital, go end up in a bathroom again, pass out. The same people come back get me, bring me back to the hospital. I did this 3 times. You know what I mean? And it's just ridiculous that this is the person that I am. You know what I mean? To go from what I was to like, I'm walking around and like literally they had to cut my pants. So like my pants are like cut up to my crotch. My shirt is all blood. and I'm walking into the store, stealing 2 cans of dusters, walking to the bathroom, just doing it till it's passing out, and I wake up to them, and then this is what I was doing. Like I said, crazy. Like this is my life at this point. And I remember the last time I went to the hospital after that, when I got released, they released me like 3 o'clock in the morning, and the lady was so mean to me. I'm like, can I just sleep? And she's like, no, you need to go now. And it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Where am I gonna go? So there's this kid that I met in jail, and so I called him up, and when he came and got me, I remember I really like I had tried heroin like a couple times to this point, but this was my first time that I he gave me like we were gonna go get some or whatever. I had food stamps. I remember that's what it was. I had food stamps. And so they were gonna go buy some, but this other kid had some, so they gave it to me. And this was like the first time that I ever had a vein in my arm. And I remember I hit it, and then next thing woke up in the hospital. So yeah, I overdosed right there. They brought me to the hospital, they dropped me off like on the lawn of the hospital. But I woke up, I remember, and I called up the kid and whatever. I ended up back at his house again. And then I just remember just laying on this kid's couch, and I just I have nothing in life. You know what I mean? I have absolutely nothing. All I can think about is just, I don't want to be like this. So I remember like going to the store that was near his house and stealing these Coracetin, like triple C's, and like taking a box of them. And it just felt so terrible. But this is the only thing that I care about in my life at this point. Like there is nothing more to my life than this. Like got really, really bad, man. And from that point on, for about 2 years, for about 2 years straight, I was homeless. Everything I own, I'm carrying in a backpack. My only way of supporting myself is to steal from stores. So that's my only way of getting whatever I'm getting now. So now I don't necessarily ever care about getting I was fine doing the duster and everything. But the house I'm staying at now, like they're doing heroin, they're doing this. So now, and I have to I feel like I'm putting people out by being there at their house. So now it comes about that they're going to have me go to Lowe's and go steal things, and we're going to go return it at another Lowe's. I remember this is how the whole stealing thing started. And I just would sit there and huff on the duster. I'd walk in the store, so out of it. I just would go grab a big something that cost $100, put in my jacket, walk out the door, alarm going off. I just would keep walking, and then they'd go return it, and that's how they would get their stuff. But it was such a bad, it's crazy that that's what my life became, and
no kind of life.
and I didn't I remember waking up at this kid's house in the morning, and I just so bad, so I just couldn't wait till I was sitting down at the store waiting for it to be 9 o'clock so I could walk in and get a can of duster, just because I just didn't want. I was so not okay in my head that I just had to have something so badly, to take that away. And then I'm literally 5 feet from the store walking away, hitting this can and passing out. You know what I mean? And just because I couldn't even wait till I walked somewhere to be okay. You know what I mean? Where I could do it and not be no, they were definitely really, really tough times. And but so now if you kind of fast forward that, and then there was more overdoses, there's there's so many different intricate things throughout all this, but there was three or four more overdoses, from heroin overdoses. And but each time, you know what I mean? One time I took out Narcan and I set it on the bed before I did my shot, and not even knowing why I did that. But now, had that girl not seen that Narcan sitting there, to know that I had that, I would have probably died, you know what I mean? But she was able to save me because I took that out and set that on the bed before I did my shot, not even thinking for a second that was going to be a shot that was going to kill me. But somehow or another, I remember that was one specific time. And this girl wasn't really someone I knew. I'm in this little crappy trap house. There's they probably wouldn't even have called or nothing, you know what I mean? It was just so random of a thing that happened, and then but they did call I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that, because they did call paramedics, and I woke up to paramedics. But yeah, there's 5 different times I woke up to paramedics. Yeah, so, woke up, just wake up, paramedics there, and I hated it. It was such a terrible feeling. But and then just the whole jail thing, you know what I mean? I'm getting arrested at these stores. And that was my whole life, you know what I mean? It's any store I walk in, I swear that they had my picture up at every Walmart in the entire state. You know what I mean? Just because me with my big my big mentality, you know, like how I said, I always jumped to fire. I would drink 2 pitchers, you know what I mean? So now when I go into Walmart, you know, where someone else is going to go steal one thing, I'm going to go in, I'm going to push out a whole cart and get as much as I can, you know? So I'm getting like $5,000 of stuff, but I'm giving most of it away for free just to try to like please people and make people like me and stuff. And then like, I was so worried about all the drug dealers liking me and trying to fit in. I don't know. It's just a really, really crazy time. But somehow or another, you know, like all this, like through all this, you know, like I have no felonies on my record. I have no, you know, I'm still standing here and I just got my physicals, you know, first physicals in 15, 20 years, you know what I mean? And I'm a bill of health. Like I really, really am like, and it's crazy, you know, and I don't know how that's even possible, but it really, really is, you know? And like at 45 years old, like I feel better than I've ever felt. And I feel like I look better than I've ever looked, you know what I mean? And that's only like by God that that's possible. But so 2017, this
Geo,
specific time.
Geo.
Yep.
Hey, let's take a before you get into this.
Okay.
Where
Yeah.
God really comes in and you
Yep.
describe how he totally transforms your life. Let me take a 1 minute break for a
Okay.
bathroom break. You
Okay,
get
for
the
sure.
cup, you know, take you a quick one. Just 1 minute, hit your mic and hit your camera and meet me
Okay.
back here.
Okay, for sure. All right,
We'll
bro.
be back, everybody. Nobody leave because this is getting good. You're going to hear how this wraps up with God coming into Geo's life in ways that, well, only he can describe. We'll be back in 1 minute, everybody.
All right. Thank you, bro.
That was good thinking, Deb. Appreciate you.
Hello. All right.
All right, everybody, we are back. Thanks for hanging with us. Nature calls sometimes, and instead of trying to hurry things up, had to take that bathroom break. And everybody is still here with us, and pretty good time in for it too, because this is the turnaround, and this has been powerful. So I knew it was going to be, Geo. I think you've done fantastic so far. So
Well, thank you.
give
Yeah.
yourself the credit. It looks like you got a friend who's proud of you. I thought I'd put that up there for
Right.
you to see the comments.
Yes, appreciate that. Thank you.
Another person was talking about, I don't know if you could see the comments, but they were talking
No,
about the first testimony they've ever heard with somebody talking about bath salts and the effects of them, and they appreciate your story.
Okay.
So,
Nice. Thank you very much.
but we're back. Thanks to everybody for hanging with us. And Geo, you were talking about one of those last arrests, or
Yeah, well, this was 2017. Now there's still a little more other, you know, there's going to be more to this, but so
Sure.
2017, while I was in jail, so this was the longest that I ever went to jail for. I ended up being there for, I think it was 7.5 months. It was May 12th until November 27th. But while I was there, I became a trustee while I was there, a kitchen worker. And while I was there, this new a new cook started, and he ended up being a cook for one of the restaurants, actually the restaurant I work at now. He was like the manager there of the restaurant, and he started at the jail. So while I was there, I was like such a good worker there. Like when I say best kitchen worker they ever had,
Of course.
but I really was though. Like, and multiple people would say that actually. I really was. Like when I do try for something, you know, I do good at it. But so I really was at that time probably the best worker they ever had. I think because I took it so serious, you know. But so he offered me a job when I got out. You know, he said if you need a job when you get out, you know, come get a job. So that's pretty cool. In jail, I get a job. And then I used to go to the church service every week, and there was always this lady there. You know, I didn't really know her by name at that time, but I do know her name now, and it's Karen Macrina. And while I was there, it was like one of the last services I was there for, because after this I got boarded out like days later. But she came in and she said, and she handed me a Bible, and she said that the Lord wanted me to give this to you. And the Bible, it was by Joyce Meyer, and it was called The Battlefield of the Mind. A brand new Bible, $120 Bible. That's how much it said on the inside. And she said, the Lord wanted me to give this to you. So why would she say that? You know what I mean? I know that she believes everything that she says, you know what I mean? But like, do I believe that the Lord really, you know what I mean? So it was like baffling to me, you know what I mean? But it really meant something, like really meant something to me, you know? So, but then I got bored, and it was like amazing for me because up to that point, like I said, my brain was so scrambled from everything that I'd done. Like, especially that duster, man. Like when I was doing that, there were times like I could just feel my brain cells dying, but I didn't care at all. Like I didn't even care. Like I didn't care that I'm out in public falling down, passing out while I'm standing around people. Like it was, you know what I mean? Like it should be an embarrassment. Like it should be like I can't even believe that that's my life. But it didn't even matter to me at that point. Like I was just so lost, and I'd given up so much on ever being anything, you know? So so now she gives me that Bible, said that the Lord wanted me to give this to you. And then I got boarded out to Albany County. But now I could actually read this Bible, because like I couldn't read and focus on like the certain, you know, the actual books or anything in it, but I could read the excerpts that they put in there, you know, explaining what I was supposed to be reading. They would have all the explanations and the main points that you were supposed to get. So I was able to read all those. And the thing was that I realized was that like the way that I lived my life, you know what I mean, as far as like treating people, and as far as like how like I lived, like so much of it like was talking about me, you know what I mean, like the things that they were trying to tell you, like that really hit home to me, you know what I mean, like because like I do that already, you know, I do this already. And those were the thoughts that I was having when I was reading it. And then I ended up getting boarded out, and I got boarded out because my jail always boards people out, and I got boarded out to Albany County Jail. So now while I'm in Albany County Jail, this probation officer from my town, he comes out there, and he ends up telling me that he is one of 13 people they could have sent, and he's the only born again Christian that they have. And he felt like he was sent there for a reason. You know, he's got goosebumps and everything while he's talking to me. And he tells me that when I get out, if I want to go to church, to come see him, you know what I mean? And that he would help me get to church. So I completed that jail stint. And while I was there, actually, because in Albany County, they have like a rehab program in jail. So like, whereas like at this time, like I actually liked being in jail at this time. Like it's crazy to say, because I liked playing poker so much, and I was so good at it. And I had become like this person that like, I don't know, like I was confident in myself, like in jail, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, like I had this way about me, like playing poker. I was really confident, and like, I don't know. And I was always good with people, you know what I mean? Like I could always have like the big people in jail, especially Albany County, because you're in a tier with 48 people, you know, there's murderers, there's like all sorts of people, you know what I mean? And I would always like had people that I don't grab, you know what I mean? People liked me, you know, so it was, I don't know. I didn't mind being in jail. I actually had fun with it. But so now they had this program called the SHARP program, Sheriff's Heroin Awareness Relapse Prevention. That's what the program was called. So, and it was like in jail rehab, where you go to a rehab 24 hours a day, you live in a dorm, and it's just all rehab. So on this day that they came to get me, because I signed up for it right when I got there to jail, but the day they came to get me, like I'm at the poker table. I mean, now I'm comfortable and I like it, and I didn't want to go, but I went, you know what I mean? I went to the program anyway. And and I got a bit out of that. So now when I got released, I ended up getting released to jail, and I went and got my job at Yeti's, and I went to the other thing with Karen Macrina, when she gave me that Bible, she had told me about a church in our town, you know, that if I wanted to go to church, you know, she told me about a church in our town, you know, it was on Protection Ave. That's what she said to me. But she actually wasn't going, but she had like heard that this was like a good church or whatever. So, but she told me that. But now I got out, I went and seen the probation officer, and I started attending church with him. And for about the next 14 to 15 weeks, I went to church like with him and like with his family. You know, this is a probation, this is me, you know, who's just doing dust or falling all over, you know what I mean? It was running out of stores, stealing all the stuff. I'm going to church with a probation officer every week, you know what I mean? And going to his daughter's soccer game. And like, this is like, it was pretty neat, you know what I mean? Like, why would he want, you know what I mean? But like, and he told me that he felt like I was called for something. He said, I don't know what it is, but I feel like you're called for something, you know? But now when I started working at Yeti's, I remember going there first day at work, you know, whereas like I'm good. I know I can work good and everything, but I'm so uncomfortable there. And I'm just like, I wish that like I remember thinking, I wish I didn't feel like this. I wish that like I was confident and I felt good about going, you know what I mean? Like it was just a really uncomfortable feeling, I remember. And then like I started, it was like the middle of December when I started. And now no, I got out December 13th. That's right. Because it was supposed to be November 27th, but they didn't let me out till December 13th. So I started right then. And then we had a Christmas party. And now at this time, like I'm trying to go to church. I want to be sober. I'm living in a sober house. You know, I actually got a place to live this time set up. The day before I got out, they got me into this house to go stay at. But now it was our Christmas party. And so everyone's drinking and stuff. And then like, so first time I get to have a drink. Yeah, I drank. And then I like started hanging around with the people and they really liked me and stuff. So then I started drinking heavy. You know what I mean? I started drinking every night with the people from work. You know what I mean? I wanted to fit in so badly that the first chance that I, you know what I mean, had an opportunity to do something, I did, even though I had this thought that I was going to be sober. I had all these thoughts, you know what I mean? That I was going to do that drinking, but you know, but my thought is that, well, alcohol, it's never been a problem for me. You know what I mean? Compared to like doing heroin, shooting heroin, dying or smoking, you know what I mean? Compared to all the other stuff, like, you know, now I'm going out to bars, I'm hanging out with people that are living, functioning people, you know what I mean? Instead of being like, right. So I thought, yes, I thought I was being okay, but now I'm going out Saturday night, I'm getting hammered, you know, and then like I'm trying to go to church the next day, and I kept it up for a little while, you know what I mean? But still, when I went to church, I didn't go there feeling good. You know what I mean? Like I felt like very uncomfortable there. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have like this desire to like go speak with people and to go like get to know people. You know what I mean? I was very just stood there, listened, you know what I mean? Said like, oh yeah, that sermon meant something to me. You know what I mean? Like, and it did. But I remember seeing this kid that was an addict, like in the front row, and he's dancing and he's like, you know, doing worship and stuff. And I thought, like, I didn't know if he was being fake or not, you know what I mean? But I didn't understand how he could be that into it. I did not get it. And then I watched him get baptized there too. And I still thought like that he was just faking it. I didn't know, you know what I mean? I didn't see how like that you could be like that. I did not, you know, at this time, I didn't. And then I had like a disagreement with the probation officer over this girl that was an addict, and like I was defending her and he was talking bad about it, and I just said like, how can you talk, you know, you're supposed to be a born again Christian, and it like ended up being this big thing. So now I stopped going to church with him over that instance, you know. But I was defending a girl who really didn't deserve to be defended. And that's, everyone does, I shouldn't say that, everyone deserves to be defended. All addicts are addicts because they have a problem, you know what I mean? And nobody should be like singled out and said that they didn't have, there was no hope for them. And that was basically what he was telling me about someone that I kind of cared about, you know what I mean? And even though the girl ended up robbing me and there ended up being a big thing from it, I still wouldn't have changed the way I handled the situation. You know what I mean? Like I stood up for her. Right. Yeah. So, so now that ended me going to church. But when I tell you like that for the next, so now this was 2018, the beginning of 2018. Now from 2018 till when I went to jail in 2023, like things went, like I stayed clean except for alcohol for a little while, but I did have like so many. The first time I tried to do heroin, like the third time I did it, I overdosed. Now again, you know, third time I did it, overdosed, and woke up to paramedics in my apartment. You know, this is when everyone thinks that I'm being clean and stuff. And now all of a sudden it's there, you know, and I live right next door to the restaurant. That happens. And then right after that, me and this girl, we tried to get, she was supposed to get ecstasy, because I was thinking like, yeah, I'll have fun like I did when I got married. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to do something fun with her, but she ended up getting acid, and that ended up really, really badly because I don't know what it was. You know, at first when we took it, like I hadn't done acid since 2003. and now it's 2018, and I take acid, took 2 hits of acid, and something like came over me. Like in my lifetime, I have never ever put my, like, I am so against someone putting their hands on a female or doing anything. Like I will step up for any girl in any situation, always, as the person I am, you know. But for some reason, when I did this acid right here, I changed. I like the girl says, when I went in the bathroom, I was fine. I came out, I was a completely different person. And I grabbed her by her head, and I remember I started hitting her head off the floor. And I said, I know this is wrong, but it feels so damn good. I remember like these words coming out of my mouth. It was such a weird voice. So she ran out the apartment. She calls the cops. The cops come, and I'm when they get there, for some reason I'm naked at this time, and the cops come 6 deep. It's like 12:30 in the morning, and I wanted to fight. I'm like, let's go, you know. And I remember I picked up the entertainment stand I had, because I just took the TV from the stand, put it on a wall. This was like a 3 glass shelf. And I like picked this thing up with one hand. And I slammed it on the ground. Like, I don't even know how I can't even pick it up with 2 hands, but somehow I did this at this moment, you know, like fully like engulfed in it. And like, so now I have a sea of glass, and I want to fight these cops naked in a sea of glass. So come to fight 3 days later, I wake up in the hospital with a ventilator getting pulled out my throat. 3 days, 3 days later, I was in a coma for 3 days, and ventilator being pulled out my throat. My mom, my sister, and my daughter were there. And my first words out of my mouth is, "It's your fault. I can't see." My other daughter's name. First words out of my mouth to my oldest daughter, who I barely see at this point. "It's your fault. I can't see." My youngest daughter. That's what I say. First words out of my mouth. And then I had 97 stitches, and I ended up being in the hospital for 8 days from that. So that was quite the event. But yeah, I destroyed my whole house, everything, and But there's a lot more of that story. But that was a pretty crazy thing, you know. The one time I tried to do that. So now, so then I end up losing the job. Well, so now I have to go to oh, crap, the police station, you know, because now I got charged. But I didn't get charged from that. I got charged for the stupid thing where me and this girl, we got in a fight, whatever. And I went to go out the door, and these cops showed up at my house, and they told me to put my hands against the wall. And I did. And then they're like trying to search me. And I said, wait, I didn't do anything. I pull away from them. And then I had a beer in my pocket. So I had my hand like this on the beer. And they're like, take your hands out of your pocket. Take your hands out of your pocket. And I didn't do anything. Tell me what I did. And then they tackled me, whatever, searched me. And then they charged me for obstruction of governmental administration, because I want to take my hands out of my pocket. So when I go to court for this, now this is where like the whole God intervening thing, this is where it all kicked off at this point in time. So this is 2019 now. You know, I've been out here for a year and a half. I'm doing okay. I'm only drinking, you know, but I had these couple instances with drugs. And now I go to court, and they tell me that they want me to do 90 days in jail. 90 days in jail for not taking my hand out of my pocket. So I say, you're crazy. I said, go to trial. And the lawyer tells me, oh, if you go to trial, you'll lose. He's like, let me see if they'll offer you probation. So he goes, and they say, okay, yeah, you can take probation. I said, I don't really want to do probation. And he's like, well, let me see if you do. I'm like, I have a job, you know, I'm working. He's like, well, let me see if you do weekends. So he comes out, he's like, they'll give you weekends. So I'm like, I don't know. And so for the next five months in a row, I went to this court, and I had to choose between probation, 90 days in jail, or taking the 90 days over weekends. And I kept saying, I don't know. Postpone for 5 months. And then I go there that 5th month, and they say, you have to decide today. You have to make a decision today. And I say, all right, how about if I plead guilty, and then I'll come back next month for sentencing, because I don't know what to do yet. I don't have anything arranged with work. I don't have anything arranged. So they say, okay. So then, so I plead guilty. I go up front, judge, I plead guilty, and I'm going to go back the next month for sentencing. I go back the next month for sentencing, and my whole thought was, I'm probably going to take probation. I still don't even know what I'm going to do. I have nothing arranged. I have nothing, but I say, I'm thinking I'm going to take probation. I go up in front of the judge, and they say 90 days or go to trial. And I'm like, what about probation? And they're like, no probation. I'm like, to my lawyer, like, what's going on? You know, and he's like, no probation. And I'm like, what? And then I said, what about weekends? No weekends. 90 days or go to trial. And I'm like, go to trial. And then he brings me in the back room, and he's like, you're going to lose, da, da, da. And I said, you know what, Ed, I want to lose. I said, I like jail. I go, and I said, plus it's always been on my bucket list to go to trial. So we're going to trial. And I walked out of the room instead of letting him tell me, because my whole thought is, it says on this piece of paper, he wouldn't take his hands out of his pocket. That's the whole charge. You know what I mean? They're not going to put me in jail for 90 days if I went to trial. And it's just, and he hasn't even read this paper, because he's so busy with everything, you know, that he just tells you what the DA says. So I go back out, and now they say, okay, go to trial. Well, he goes out, he quits right there on the spot. He says, I can't represent him, da, da, da. He quits right there on the spot. But the judge at one point, she said, "You want me to pull up the minutes from the time before, Sam?" Because I'm like, "What about probation?" She's like, "You want me to pull up the minutes?" I said, "No, I'm fine. Go to trial." So both her and my attorney forgot that for 5 months straight that they had offered me probation, weekends, or this 90 days. They both forgot that I had pled guilty this month before, and they both just forgot this. So now I get to say go to trial. Whereas had I taken probation at that moment, my whole life is way different right now than it ended. You know what I mean? Than what happened. You know what I mean? But so now I get to say go to trial. This is September 2019. So February 2020, COVID hits. I don't deal with this charge for just until recently when I went to jail this past time this year. That's when I dealt with the charge. Like I went that whole time without dealing with that charge. But how did they possibly both forget this? Like how does that even happen? You know what I mean? Both of them at the same exact moment did not remember I said go to trial, did not remember that I pled guilty, and they did not remember anything about 5 months talking about probation, 5 months talking about weekends, and they both just like something took over both of them at that moment. So I wouldn't take that. You know what I mean? So I would not accept that probation, because had I taken that, everything in my life would have been different to get me to the point that I'm at right now. You know what I mean? Because now I'm dealing with probation, and my life would not have progressed the way that it did. You know what I mean? And now that I'm where I'm at now, I can understand why everything happened the way it did. You know what I mean? Like now that I'm finally like here and I'm living my life for God, and I have God, so prevalently in my life, and that's everything about my life now is about serving Him. You know what I mean? Had I taken probation at that point, I'm not getting to this point that I'm at now. Like, and I know that wholeheartedly. You know what I mean? So something made them both forget this instance right at that moment. Like, and it's pretty amazing that happened like that. It really, really
Well,
is.
that's especially crazy because court reporters they
Right.
they keep records of all this stuff. Like it should be on
Right.
file.
Right. So, but
But
then
you bring it up, and they're just like, "Oh, we don't know."
yeah, but she said, "Well, you want me to pull up the minutes?" And I said, "No, no, we're fine. Go to trial." But they both, and then the DA, I got called in that December. This was September. That December, I got called in, and the DA went with me in front of the judge, and she's like, "Your Honor, there's a couple things I don't understand here." She's like, "One, it says he pled guilty, so you let him rescind his plea and say go to trial." And she's like, "Yep, yep, that's what I did." You know what I mean? But like, so she wanted to figure it out too, and she's like, "Two, I have a trial scheduled in 2 weeks, and I know nothing about it." So then they're like, all right, well, and three doesn't have a lawyer because the lawyer quit. You know what I mean? So all of a sudden, like, so now they had to set everything up, and then it went by. You know what I mean? So then I didn't have to deal with it until now. So that was like the first of one thing that like did not make sense to me, like how that happened. You know what I mean? Or why that happened. But so you would think from that, like maybe I would do really, really good in life, but no, things went a different way for me. So like, whereas for like such a long time there, like I tell you about like homeless, a duster, you know what I mean? Like where I'm not doing anything even remotely okay with my life. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty much like as low as you can get. You know what I mean? Like it's not like I never really slept outside because I would go steal something from a store if the person wanted food just so I could go sleep on their couch. You know what I mean? So I always managed to have a place to stay, but when I tell you that, like, but I just had nothing, no semblance of anything okay in my life at that point. You know what I mean? But now when this happens, and then I stopped working at Yeti's, that was a big situation. And it was about bath salts. This kid got bath salts, and he gave me some, and I hadn't been using them. And then I fell in love with them. So that night, and then I ended up losing my job the next day, and then I went on this big run. This is really, really big run, and it's like crazy because at this time, like I actually like succeeded. You know what I mean? Like in the drug world, like I succeeded. Like I actually ended up like doing really, really well, where everyone was coming to me for stuff, and everyone is also looking up to me, and I was the man all of a sudden after like being like this little peon that was nothing for so long, and I couldn't like do one thing right to save my life. All of a sudden now, like I'm like running things, you know what I mean? Like it was really, really strange. And the same thing, like in Herkimer, like one day, like these cops stopped me, like when I was I'm still living in that same apartment where I'm talking about all this happened. These cops, they cornered me. I was trying to walk to the post office. I remember I had 2 bags to open, 2 bags of heart in my mouth because I put them in my mouth because I was going to deliver them. And these cops, they cornered me. And then I just had to swallow them. They were double bagged too. And I just swallowed them because I can't talk to the cops like that. But they told me that they'd never seen someone come up so fast. And that basically told me that, that I need to leave town. They said you need to stop what you're doing, or you need to leave town now. That's what they told me. Kind of like warned me or whatever. Before anything bad happened. I ended up leaving town 2 weeks later. But now in this time, like so, now the next like really strange occurrence that happened was so I still had like from prior to this, I had gotten arrested and like from stealing at like Macy's and stuff. And I like never ever like went to court for these things. So these things are like still out there. So now I have like warrants, in these different random towns and stuff for like unpaid fines or for not going to court and things. So all of a sudden one day, me and my girlfriend at the time, it's the girl I'm with now, we were driving to Utica and we were going to go pick up. And she like, for some reason, I was like really out of it this day. So now at this point, I'm like selling drugs. I'm like actively like, but I'm doing okay. We have vehicles, we have a house, I turned it up. Like I started doing really well, like somehow or another, everything went right for me. You know what I mean? Whereas for so long, like I couldn't do one thing right. Like all of a sudden now I have like these dealers that like me and they're only dealing with me. And like, so I don't know. So everything all of a sudden like just went really well in my favor. So and I can say all this now in the way that I'm saying it because it all led me to where I'm at now. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't have like this new way about me, this confidence, for God even, you know what I mean? To be able to speak with such conviction and be able to speak, not caring what anyone thinks about me. Because at this time, I'm still like up until then, I'm still like, I remember when I was in jail 2017, someone asked, where are you born? And I said, it's none of your business. Like I'm still deathly ashamed of that at that point. You know what I mean? And then, like I said, when I got out and I started at Yeti's, like I started drinking immediately because I wanted to be liked and I wanted to fit in, so I still had all those same issues that I always had. But so now when this all happened in this drug world and I had all these people that are like working for me and that are like I'm supplying and that I'm taking care of, that just gave me like this different value to myself somehow, you know what I mean, that I could never found any other way. And that's where I found it. And then not caring about that I'm Asian, not caring, being proud of it. But so now we're on our way to go pick up and she pulls over and she's smoking in the car and I'm sitting there passed out in the front seat and all of a sudden these two cops who show up at my door, you know what I mean? And I got this bag around my neck and they reach into this bag and they pull out baggies. They pull out a scale and then they look through the bag and it's a little Jordan bag. It's a 3-pocket bag. The other cop goes through the bag. So now in the third pocket of this bag, there's 2 balls of crack and 2 balls of meth in the bag. 2 cops go through this bag and they do not see this. They do not see this pocket. Like it's so evidently clear that there's a third pocket on the back of this bag, but they both miss it. And then another cop tries to come over and go through it. And this other cop says that the cop says, oh, we already searched him. So they leave all that stuff. So I took it off from the bag. I was getting arrested on the warrant. So I take it all out of the bag, put it in my pocket, and I sprinkle it all over the ground. But like, how did both these cops find all that stuff? And they don't go through that bag further. Like that was amazing to me. And so then I threw it all over the ground. I went to jail and I never got searched again. So I technically could have went there. They released me, because at this time there's COVID. They're not really putting people in jail and stuff. There's bail reform in our state. So I get released. So I could have walked out the door with all these drugs still on me, right? I really could have, but I threw them all over the ground. So that stunk and it rained right afterwards. So I couldn't go back and get them. But had those guys found that right there, I mean, now my life is totally different. I'm not here. I'm not sitting here, no felonies now. I'm not sitting here the way I'm sitting now. You know what I mean? Had they found the other pocket, but they both missed that. So now that's the first thing that was kind of unexplainable. So now next thing that happens on that same exact charge, the car that I'm in, it's like 1:30 in the morning. I'm going to this hotel to go deliver all this stuff to this person. And I'm in the backseat of this car. This girl that's driving just got out of prison and she's driving and she doesn't turn on the headlights. So the car gets pulled over. Me and my buddy, we had bagged up everything that I had and we counted out what everything was worth. And it was $1,700 worth of stuff. And it was all bagged, like all the different quantities, like grams, like everything that I like, but it's all separated. So, I'm a dealer, what I mean? I have it all in this Altoids container. So now the car gets pulled over. I got a warrant, of course. And so I tell them, I say, I got all these drugs on me, but I give them $1,000 I had on me. And I said, if I got to be bailed out, bail me out. But I kept the drugs on me because they're like harassing this girl because she really doesn't have her license back yet because it's still like it has restrictions on it. So I didn't want to put the stuff in the car in case they get the car searched and I didn't want to put it on them. So I kept the drugs on me. So now they search me. They don't find them. I have them right in front of my jeans. And now they put me in the back seat of the car. And I remember that it was so cold out, and I'm like wearing something like I'm wearing now, and it was so freezing cold out. And the cop that drove me like when to Utica, like it's probably about 7 miles away. The cop that drove me there, he kept the windows all the way down in the car, and he told me it was COVID season, so he would not. And it was such a freezing cold night, and I was so cold. I was on the ground of that car, like just freezing. I was so mad. But now they bring me to the police station, and when I get there, they search me. They don't find the stuff, everything, and then now I'm going to jail, and I'm in the back seat of like the police, like the actual jail car now. I'm in the back of like a van, panel van, and there's two guards in the front. I'm like, what do I do with all this stuff? Do I eat it all? This is what I'm thinking. Like, do I eat all this stuff? Like, what do I do here? So, but instead, I decide I'm gonna like shove it in my crack. You know what I mean? I'm gonna like just put it as high up as I can. It's a container. Like what? I don't really know, but I kind of had the thought like maybe I can get in again like I did last time, but it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. So now we get there, and I'm in between the doors walking in. I'm in the port, and the cop searches, says, put your hands against the wall. He hits the container. What's this? He goes, and I go, it's nothing. I'm pulling away. He pulls it out, and the guy goes, cigarettes. And he's like, oh, it smells like poop too. He didn't say poop, but and that's what he says. And then I go in the room. They search me completely, and I fall right asleep. And I'm tired. And I go out. I go in front of the guy booking me in. He's booking me in, and he asked me the question. He said, "When's the last time you used drugs?" I go, "It's been a while." And he goes, "More than 6 months?" I go, "Yeah, probably." And he doesn't say nothing. Like, what the heck? You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you say anything? So then I go down. I go in the cell. I sleep. They wake me up the next morning, and I got to go out in front of the judge. So, and it's a virtual thing now. The lawyer, I see the lawyer. He doesn't say anything about it. I go in front of the judge. He doesn't say anything about it. So I'm like, oh, they're going to get me when I walk out this door. You know what I mean? But I'm thinking, I'm buried right now, bringing drugs into jail. I'm buried. They're going to get me when I walk out this door. So I call Uber. Gone. Never another word about it. Like, how does that happen? You know what I mean? Like, never another word about that. Like, it's completely unexplainable. So now, had that not happened, my life is totally different. You know what I mean? Like, completely different from that point. So so now these are the things that happened. And now the next two things that happened were like I spoke to you about, where the chase is there, So I'll kind of get some detail, but again, there's statute of limitations on stuff, so I can't go crazy with all this. But so the first one, yeah. So the first one basically, so these are like chases from the car. This is my life. You know what I mean? This is truly my life. Like, and it's insane. But I mean, first of all, I'll say I'm so lucky nobody got hurt. Like I am so if someone got hurt in any of these situations, my life is totally different, obviously. Or if I got hurt, you know what I mean? But so I'm so grateful I never hurt anybody. And looking back, I mean, I'm under the influence of drugs when I'm doing these things. So but it's not. Like, I'm never speaking of anything like I'm proud, especially now that I'm a man of God and everything. I'm just speaking about stuff in a manner that I'm amazed that God kept me protected and that God got me to this point that I'm at now, where I can have this testimony and where I can speak with such conviction for him and where I can be like this new person that I am. You know what I mean? So none of this stuff, like all this stuff happened, and it's just crazy that this has been my life to this point. But unfortunately, it has. But without it all, I don't become this person. I really don't. So on the first one, I'm with this girl. We're getting ready. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm really late to bring all this stuff, but I had like, I don't know, like a good amount of crack on me, and we're going to go like deliver it and everything. And we stop at this gas station right by my house. And she goes in, and she's literally, and I tell her, we are late, but I have to get gas. I said, we're really late. You need to be quick. And this girl, she takes forever. She's so long. So she's in the bathroom for a good hour. Like, and I'm telling her, so I got to go in there twice and tell her, let's go. So while I'm sitting out there waiting for her, a cop comes, drives through the parking lot, and I see him, whatever. So now we're driving away, and I'm yelling at her. And as we're driving, a light changes yellow, and I go through it, and it's immediately lights behind me. So I'm like, so I pull over. So I pull around the turn, and I stop. And then I pull around my turn, I stop, and then I tell her, I said, I'm going to just go. And she says, whatever you do, I'll support you. So I just took off, but that feeling right there of making that decision and going, it's quite a feeling. So now we go, and I'm driving, and I had an instance before this where cops cornered me in a store once. And they like had me like that device. So I switched my hat, I put on this pink hat and pink mask, and I just walked right by the cops. And then I ran to my house, like, because my house was like kitty corner from the store. And the cop like chased me, like he almost got me, but I got in my door. They never even knocked on the door or anything. So now I'm like in this car, and it was my buddy's mom's car that I'm driving that I would rent from. And I'm like driving up like near the house I'm staying at, thinking maybe if I can get ahead enough, I can jump out, run in the house, and maybe they won't come to the house. You know, that was kind of my thought process. But I can't get an inch on this cop. He's got the spotlight. He's right behind me. You know what I mean? I'm going, but at the same time, I'm like, give me a hit, give me a hit. You know, so she's like waiting the thing for me, and I'm taking hits, and like she's praying. She's like, "Dear Lord, please," because her mom was very faithful, and she really had a lot of faith there. But like, "Dear Lord, please bring us home safely," you know. And she's saying this while we're driving, and I'm going, and then all of a sudden, you know, it got up to where like there's like 7 cops. I'm right in town, you know, so I'm like going through all these towns and stuff, and there's like 7 cops. Now every time I enter like a new jurisdiction, there's cops waiting there, you know. So now they're joining the chase, and then I'm like, I told her, I said, I'm going to have to like turn this up here. So then I shut off the lights in the car, and I just started kind of playing chicken with cars. I did that one time. As soon as I turned the next corner, nobody followed me from that point on. So that was that. And then that one was gone. But then then that happened. And then the next one was like just really, really bad. But on the next one, the big thing that happened with the next one, like there was a lot of instances where I didn't understand why these things happened, right? Because on the next one, like I was by myself, and there was one point where I took a chance going around the corner where if something was coming, you know, I would have been doomed, but I did it anyway. And then finally, like when I finally got out of the car and I ran into the woods, right? Because I thought like, but they'd already let me go because I was driving so erratically that they can't stay with you, I guess, you know. So they let me go. But I got out of the car, I ran into the woods. Now I'm going in the woods, and I hear all these dogs barking. So I'm like, oh my gosh, they got the dogs out, you know. And so then I'm like, and after the first one, I searched on this and stuff, and I see like they are not going to be nice to you at all. You know what I mean? You just put a lot of lives in danger. They're going to not treat you well in this situation. So now I'm thinking about them 3 o'clock in the morning coming into woods. Like, how are they? That's going to be really, really bad, right? So then I'm like, I'm going to just get so high that I don't even know what's going on, and I get carried out of here on a stretcher. That's my thought. So like I'm like going, I'm opening this bag. You know, I had 3 grams, like really, really good stuff, and I'm opening this bag. The second I get this bag open, I trip right in a creek. The entire bag right in a creek. So now the whole thing about that is that the cops weren't there. There was nobody coming. I was just hearing dogs at houses that were hearing me in the back of the woods, you know what I mean, that were barking. So had I not done that and lost that whole bag, I would have been done for. You know what I mean? I guarantee I would have killed myself because I was thinking they were coming, and I wanted to, you know, I knew what was going to happen, and like I would have died like that right there. You know what I mean? So this is that second. The only time I tripped right then, that second I tripped. And so that was insane. And then so I ended up sleeping that night in the woods. And the next day I was walking, and I got spotted because they were still out looking for me. And I got spotted, and it got called in. And now I was trying to get to my friend's house because I was kind of up by their house. I was like a mile or so away. But on my way there, I was like going through the last field. And as I'm walking through that field, my foot got stuck. And when I bent over to pick up the shoe, I fell. I ended up laying there for 5 hours. So those 5 hours I laid there, that was shift change. Had I not laid there that long like that, and I had no idea, I just laid there, you know, for whatever reason. Had I not done that, those cops were up there circling, looking for me. I still got up, started walking. Immediately, someone else seen me, called it in. Cops came up. They were there. Once I reached the house, they were there within 5 minutes. So, but they didn't. They told them I wasn't there, So then they left, and I went to my house from there. And the cops went back to their house the next day searching for me. They went through the whole house. They didn't believe them. And but the house I was staying at, they never came to one time. I sat there and waited for them for 16 days without leaving the house, without picking up a phone, and they never even showed up once. So, but had those instances not happened, I definitely would have gotten caught, and like definitely my life would be so much different at this point in time, like so much different. And so it's crazy. But there's a few more instances like that too. But the big thing I want to get to is just when, so like the big thing that changed everything for me. So like all these things were like, now I can look back on and understand I was being protected. You know what I mean? Like I was fully being protected, and I was just something like I had to have everything happen the exact way that it did. You know what I mean? Like I really did. So now it was go to November 2022. Now my daughter, all of a sudden, she gets engaged, and she tells me it's Thanksgiving. She tells me I'm getting married. So at this point in time, now prior to this, like I missed my daughter's 16th birthday, I missed my daughter's graduation, I missed basically every important date of her adult life. You know what I mean? I was there when she was little, but I lost all the videos from it. I lost all the pictures. So she don't even remember any of that. So, but it was always said that now, if you get yourself better, you know, you can be at her wedding. So now she's getting married. At this time, I have 6 different warrants. You know what I mean? I like, I'm hiding out my life, you know, my life literally at this point in time. So it went from all those highs, like being all that really high up. And now, but now at this point in time, cops are looking for me so bad. You know, the house I'm staying at literally has roaches. I remember like days just laying there for 2 days straight because I can't possibly get anything and just trying to just sleep as long as I can. Like, so everything turned, you know what I mean? Everything got really, really bad again. And then so there was not a lot of hope. Now she's getting married, and like it's just such a crazy, like, now, and the time that she tells me she's getting married, I don't know how long I'm going to jail for. You know what I mean? I have no idea what's going to happen with my life. And there's really, my teeth are falling out of my mouth. I'm like such bad shape again. You know what I mean? Like I went from being all the high up doing well into to this now. So
What year
but
are
I
we in
told her
when this going
yeah,
on?
we're in
When she's getting married?
2020. That was Thanksgiving 2022. So
Okay.
now, March 2023, I tell her, I say, I told her at that time, I said, okay, I'm going to go to rehab. I'm going to get myself cleaned up. Right. So, and then March 2023, I went to rehab. So while I was in rehab, I started praying. You know what I mean? I did. I started praying and I started saying that I'm going to trust God for everything. You know what I mean? I'm going to put all my trust in God. Like when I first got to rehab, I almost left because I hated it. I hated how I felt. I hated all of it. But then I started to perk up and everything. Then I started talking to God and stuff. And my whole plan was from there is that I was going to go on to like another program and I was going to just stay away from this area as long as I could. And I wasn't, you know, because I didn't feel like I could come back to this area and ever be okay. I'm too well known. There's too much, you know what I mean? Like I didn't feel like I could ever do that. So my plan was to go on to another program and all this. But then, but I'm saying, I trust you, God. I'm writing in my journal. I'm writing all this stuff, you know, about God and about how I trust him and everything. And I'm going to do this with my life now. This is what I want to do. But then I end up getting a fight with my counselor and I end up telling him I'm going home. And so I end up back here in this area now from wanting to be clean, from wanting to do all that. Now all of a sudden I'm back in this area. And I thought I was coming back to like a bed and stuff to go to, but it didn't work out like that. So now I'm back and I'm on the street. You know, first day back, I'm on the street, and within 5 minutes of being back, I use again. You know, so now all of a sudden everything I just was trying to accomplish, everything I was doing, it's all kind of gone. You know what I mean? But I still have thoughts that I'm gonna fix this. I go to my doctor's appointment the next day. You know, I still am trying to do it. But now it's 2 days later, and all of a sudden, like it's just right back to what it was. You know what I mean? I'm with all the same people, I'm with everything. And I went and I remember going out back at my friend's house, which I've been at a million times. But I went out back and I just said, Lord, you know, I cannot believe this is my life again. I cannot believe that I'm back here. I said, please help me. I don't know what to do. I said, please help me out of the situation. I do not know what to do. So now, when I tell you, like all those years that we just talked about, those chases, all that stuff, like there were cops like looking for me like almost all the time. Like if a cop seen me eye to eye, like he's coming after me. You know what I mean? I told you I had to run to my house, but somehow or another, like I would drive around town all hours of the night and all these hot cars going to all these hot houses, and I was just nothing ever happened. You know what I mean? I never would get caught. So now on this instance, this happens, and the car I was in gets pulled over. Like the car gets pulled over. Like, so I just asked for this to happen, but now the car's pulled over. So now I say to the kid that's driving the car, I said, what do I do? He said, I don't know, you know? So I'm like, crap. So, but he's like, but he just got out of jail and we had drugs in the car and stuff. So I took the drugs and I put them on me. And I walked out of the car. When the cop came up to the car, I said my name and I said, I have a warrant. And he's like, all right, get out of the car. So I got out of the car. I grabbed the drugs. I brought them out. I set them there on the ground. So then, so the cop says, whatever, he searches me and he puts me in the back seat of the car. So, but I realized he didn't search this inside pocket that I have. And I had these 4 bags on this inside pocket. And while I'm sitting in the back seat here, I've been in this situation before, like where I've been in the back seat of a car and I've taken all the drugs and I put some in my mouth and I've taken some, I've shoved them down in the seat. I've done all this before. You know what I mean? I've been in all these situations where I've gotten out, ran when cars get pulled over, you know, but I didn't do any of these things. And I sat there with the drugs. First, I took them, I got them in my lap and I put them all in my mouth. I have all 4 bags in my mouth and I'm thinking like, I can just swallow these and what, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I'm like, I don't want to do that. You know, this isn't what I want to do with my life. So then I took them out and I shoved them all down in the seat. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, this isn't what I want to do either. So I tried to get the bags back out of the seat, and I could only find one of the bags in the seat. But I put it on my lap and I called the cop. I said, come over, come over. And then the cop came over. I pointed to the bag and he grabbed it, and I said, there's 3 more in the seat, and they're like, what? And they could only find one of the 3 that were in the seat. They could only find one of them. And so that was something like I've never ever done ever in my life. You know what I mean? But I did that because I wanted change. I wanted something different. You know what I mean? I knew I had to do something different. That wasn't the person I wanted to be anymore. If my life was going to become anything, I had to do something different. You know what I mean? So I did that. And now and then as soon as the cop comes, because they still have these bail reform and everything. So like a lot of times now it's like 2:00 in the morning. So they got to get a judge in my town to go in front of a judge. A lot of times they don't want to do that. So there's probably a good chance they're going to just let me go on the street again, But I tell the cop, I say, I need to go to jail. I told him, I said, I need to go to jail. I said, there's nothing for me out here. I tell him, I just got out of rehab. I relapsed immediately. Everything I own is in this one duffel bag that I have. I said, there's nothing for me out here. I need to go to jail. And he says, okay, you want to go to jail? And then, so he makes a phone call. Now this other cop that there, like, he's like putting me down, you know what I mean? He's like having a field day, like making fun of me and stuff. And like, I'm just sitting there thinking, like, I'm just telling you how bad that my life is, how low that my life is. And you're gonna try to like make yourself look cool by making me like feel bad, you know what I mean? So at that moment, like I remember, like I was handcuffed and I stood up and I said, you know what? I said, I don't know. I said, you're not bothering me at all with what you're saying. I said, it's not going to faze me at all. I said, but if I was to be at the pearly gates and go in front of God, I said, he would welcome you with open arms and he would say, oh, you're finally here. I was so happy to see you. And I said, I bet you that you can't say that same thing. And I said that to him like with such conviction. And I just said, I'm at the lowest point I'm at, and I'm telling you, I need this help. And you're trying to make me feel worse. You know what I mean? And I said this to him with like such conviction. And then the cop said, you know what? You're right. And he's like, I'm really sorry. And then the other cop said he was sorry. And then the cop like let me smoke a cigarette, and they just completely changed their tune from that point on. So, and that was weird. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know like what gave me that strength to say that or do that. And I really wasn't doing it. Like, they weren't bothering me at all. I didn't care at this point at all. You know what I mean? I was just in kind of like such a like weird low place. Like, I'm going to jail. I just, you know what I mean? I just threw everything away. Like the little bit that I accomplished, by going to rehab, it's all gone already. You know what I mean? Like, now I'm going back to jail. I don't know for how long for my daughter's wedding. Like, this is all on my mind, But yeah, I'm standing up to this cop trying to say something for his betterment, you know what I mean? To make him better. That's my concern at this point. And then, but then they changed. The cop let me smoke a cigarette. Now I'm in the courthouse in Herkimer. It's their little town court. I'm in the room. I'm handcuffed by myself, and I'm waiting. I'm gonna go in front of the judge virtually, and I'm sitting there waiting. And then all of a sudden, boom! I hear the voice of God. And I hear the voice of God, and I don't remember the whole conversation, but it just was basically said he was proud of me. I needed to keep doing what I was doing, and I said, are you really talking to me right now? Is this really happening? And then I said, are you going to talk to me all the time? I must have looked nuts sitting there. Like, they got to have all this on camera. You know what I mean? And then I remember like seeing, like, I can't tell you the voice. I can't tell, like, I don't know like exactly how it happened, but I know that this, like, I carried on a conversation. I wasn't high at this point, anywhere near high. You know what I mean? I've never been high to where I'm hearing voices like that, except for that one time way, way, way back when 2012. Like, that's the only time, but like, so it's definitely nothing like that, but I like full on had a conversation, right? So now told me that, and I felt like that he just lifted my compulsion for drugs. Like I no longer felt like I needed drugs anymore. Like, I no longer felt like I needed to have them to be better, to be the person I was trying to be. I no longer needed them. And then at the very end of it, he said to me to go, I remembered, go to the mental institution. And I said, go to the mental institute, really? And I said, okay. And then whatever. So now I get sent, they put me in jail, and then the cops are coming to handcuff me. I start throwing my stuff off, saying, oh, it don't matter, I'm done anyway. I started like trying to act crazy, thinking I have to go to a mental institution, not really knowing if this is even possible or anything, but I'm like, I'm going to try. So then when I get to jail now, I get to the jail, and it happens to be that same guy that I got the job from, that was a cook way back in 2017. That was my manager at Yeti's. He's the sergeant there at the jail now. So How am I going to act crazy in front of this guy? You know what I mean? So my whole thought is that So what I come up with is I tell them I'm going to kill myself no matter what. I'm going to kill myself, and I don't want to do it because I don't want to make you have to do the paperwork. I don't want to do this to you. So you need to send me to a mental institution where I'm going to convince them to, and they're going to let me do it. This is what I come up with to say, right? So because I don't want to give him a hard time or anything, you know. It's like, oh, calm down. It's not that bad. You know what I mean? You're going to be okay. I said, no, it is that bad. You know, and I'm trying to play it up and everything. So, but basically that just ended me. I got put in a blue turtle suit, you know what I mean? And now I got put on constant watch for 3 days. But now I'm in the cell. It's the next morning and I'm freezing, you know, and I'm so cold because I don't have any sleeves. You know, I'm in there. They don't give you blankets when you're like this. You know what I mean? Like you get nothing. And I'm just in there and I'm like trying to like cover up my face. I'm so cold. And the guy says, uncover your face. And I was sitting there, I'm like, God, why would you do this to me? You know, I'm like, why would you do this to me? This is terrible. Why would you tell me to do this? And then immediately the other sergeant comes down and they swap me out. They put me in clothes and everything like the second that happened. So, but now for the next 3 days, instead of sitting in a cell by myself, wondering, did that really happen? You know what I mean? Did I really just hear the voice of God all by myself, just sitting there? Now I had a guard with me the whole time that I could talk to and like advise and give advice to, you know, and see if I really did have like this new worldly power about me. And I learned that I really, really did. Like I had the guards and they're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I got put here, you know, and they don't like sitting there watching someone the whole time, but they were happy to sit there and talk to me and stuff because I was giving them advice and I was like talking to them and it was a pretty awesome thing. And from that point on, I started like when in jail, like I stopped cursing, I stopped trying to be like this thing, you know what I mean? And I started reading the Bible. I got a Bible 3 days in. I read the entire Bible in the 83 days that I was there. You know, I started getting books. I got Rick Warren's Purpose Driven Life. I read that. This one kid that was in there, we did a Bible study every morning, you know, and I full on just put everything I had into that. And then when I was there as well, I had this idea like, I'm going to broadcast my recovery when I get out. I'm going to broadcast the recovery and I'm going to like put it on YouTube to try to help other people. Because, like, truly, like with some, like, you only got a little bit of the stories, you know what I mean? Like, of how like crazy and stuff that I've been through. Like if I can do it, then anyone can do this. You know what I mean? Like that's truly, and a lot of people that know me will truly say that same exact thing to you, you know? So that's why I thought like, I'll make these YouTube channels. But like I got out, like, I don't know if you've seen that picture I posted from my first channel to my last, you know, like my teeth are all bad. Like I had so much work I had to do before I could even, and like at that time, I have the letter that I wrote like the first 4 days I was in jail. And like I'm in jail. I don't know how long I'm gonna be there for. I don't even know if there's any chance I can do this, but I heard the voice of God. So now all of a sudden my letters are like my life has more hope than anything in the world. I am the happiest I've ever been. That's what the letter, you know, I've read it in one of my videos. The letter, it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Like I am so full of hope and I am so like just talking like I'm like it's amazing. Like it is absolutely amazing. And so now I get out of jail, you know, I end up getting out. I finish reading the Bible and I end up getting released like an hour later. But now I had these charges that were down by the city. That's funny. And so I'm like, please don't come get me. Please don't come get me. And of course they come pick me up, you know, but it all just played out exactly perfectly. So everything got addressed, everything got taken care of. You know, I ended up doing 83 days in jail. And just I got to address every single thing, you know what I mean, from my life, and I got to take care of all of it. So now, but now I still get out. I don't have a place to go or anything, but I ended up staying with a friend for a little while who was like out of town, working out of town. And I wasn't like, you know, I talked about like how I went on probation and stuff, but I didn't start that until for a couple of months after I got out. So I had chance. I could have used, I could have done all that, but I didn't do anything. You know what I mean? I stayed strong, and then I ended up getting a job, and now I have a really nice apartment. I started attending church. I got out of jail June 27th. The end of December, like the third week in December, I went to church finally for the first time. And the church that I went to was the church that lady gave me the Bible and told me about to go. And that's the church I went to. And the second church service I'm at, they invite one of the ladies there says about this prayer group that they have. So I start going to the prayer group, and then I tell them the story in the prayer group about the Bible and about her inviting me to the church. And they're like, oh yeah, that's Karen McCreena. She comes to this church. And then like the next service after that, the lady brought me up front and she's like worshiping with me, one of the prayer warrior ladies. And all of a sudden she's like, turn around, I want you to meet someone. And there stands Karen McCreena, the lady who gave me the Bible. You know, I'm like, oh my God, you gave me a Bible. And she's like, oh, I
Wow.
remember. And then she tells me to come over to her house. I go over to her house. Now I go to a weekly Bible study with her. You know, I spend time, I talk with her all the time. Like it's absolutely amazing. And now like I go to this church and like I'm an usher now at the church, you know, and like everybody there, like I walk in there, I feel like I'm a rock star. You know, I feel like I was when I was at my peak of the drug game. You know what I mean? With all the people, how they looked up to me. I feel that way at church now. Like they just all like me so much, and they all think so much of me. Like it's absolutely
Every
amazing.
everything that you wanted or thought you had when you were out there slinging dope and getting high and running and all that. That voice, when you heard the voice of God, went to this church, saw her. You're getting everything,
And
but in a
then
more
some.
pure way.
Yeah, and then some, you know what I mean? And I'll never change from this now. This has become who I am now, you know what I mean? And like there's no chance I'm gonna relapse. There's no chance, you
And
know, just everything.
I
It's
believe you. And
amazing.
I. So how long? What's your clean time then? Like
501 days.
how
501
many?
days. 501.
501.
Yeah, 501. Yeah. But I mean
Oh,
83 of it was jail time, you know what I mean? So I call like street time clean, but 83 of it was jail. But I say clean the whole
well,
time on
yeah.
the street.
Without the
Right.
83 in jail, I don't know if you would have got the 501.
Right, right. But
So
yeah.
that counts.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. But
Gio, I
just
got to ask
absolute.
you. Going on 2.5 hours. This has been
Yeah, no,
absolutely
I know. I'm sorry.
incredible.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you
it's a
if you
lot.
want to if you want to just tell us a few more things about like the best things God has done for you and transformed your life, and then we'll probably wrap that up, and I'll ask you to take us out in prayer.
Okay,
So just tell
absolutely.
everybody a few things that's like
Okay, so like I'll go
the
back
highest
to
moments.
yeah, like I'll go back to like seeing that kid up at that when I talked about going to that church and seeing that person that I knew as an addict up there like dancing and like worshiping, you know, how like I didn't know if it was real. I didn't like I'm that person now. You know what I mean? Like I am fully that person now, like standing up there worship, like I am full on everything, you know?
Wow.
And I get asked to all these different things, you know what I mean? Just everybody, like so many of the prayer people, like they've all been like wanting to watch this. I got a message from the pastor today wishing me luck on this. Like, you know what I mean? Like my life has totally, totally transformed. You know, it's not only myself either, it's my girlfriend too. Like I got baptized first. I became a member first, but now she just got baptized. She's been, you know, we've been doing all this volunteer stuff. I've spoken twice up in church. I've gotten up and spoken 2 times, you know, in front of everybody, and that's all in like a short amount of time, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, the biggest thing that God did for me, you know, if I just look back in jail after I heard that voice of God, just everything changed, you know what I mean? Just by hearing that one conversation. Now the whole trajectory of my life, the whole just every thought in my mind changed. And now I'm good, you know what I mean? Like I'm good for the first time, you know what I mean? And like I wouldn't be any of this if it wasn't for all those experience, you know, even like that last part of it, you know what I mean? Like getting through everything the way that I did, you know what I mean? Like all those little things that happened where I could have been big trouble, big trouble. And then I'm not able to sit here now, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't be sitting here now. And all that happened exactly how it had to in order for me to be here now.
From from that awkward only Asian kid in elementary school to you doing all the clubs, to you jumping over the fire in college, to you slamming pitchers of beer, to all the other things. Did you
Yeah,
get yourself through that to be talking to me now, or to God?
absolutely did. Yeah, absolutely. Well, God got me through all that. Right.
There's
Yeah.
no other
No,
way to
God.
explain it,
Yeah.
right?
No, there is no other way to
You
explain
couldn't
it.
have brought
Absolutely
yourself to
not.
this
Yeah. It
point if
doesn't
you
even,
tried.
yeah. It's right. It still doesn't even make sense to me how it's all possible. You know what I mean? If I ever get to share the whole entirety of everything, like it really does not make sense. And it doesn't make sense that I can sit here feeling as good as I do and be as confident as I am in all of this that I say now. You know what I mean? Like, and I speak with such conviction now, and to like want to make these videos after working, you know, 60-hour a week. I come home, make all these videos and want to, you know, and I do everything social. I don't miss one church. I don't miss one prayer group. I don't miss any, you know, I mean, this is just who I am now. And I absolutely love it. And every single person I talk to, I tell them this, you know what I mean? Like I don't hold back from anyone. Everybody knows me as this person now. And that's everyone who knew me falling down. You know what I mean? I can't do anything right. Like that just seen me at my absolute worst. Now they see me, you know, when I talk to someone, they say like, oh, when I get better, I'm going to come to church. I need to come to church. You know, I mean, this is what people see me as now. And it's just incredible that that could be. And here I sit in my hometown, but I'm stronger than I ever could have been anywhere else. You know what I mean? Like, it's absolutely amazing. It really, really is. Yeah.
Well, incredible.
Yeah.
Geo, I don't have any other questions. I knew I didn't have to ask you a whole bunch of questions. I'm glad you let me get a few in.
Yeah, I apologize, man. Yeah, I got so much to say. I knew it was going to go this way. Like, you should
Yeah.
see my wall here. Like, I have all the things that I was going to, like trying to keep me in order, but I didn't even look over there one time.
How
So,
do you
yeah.
think you did?
I think I get long-winded and I get very, very excited and I talk fast sometimes and I need to get better with
How is it not
speaking. And
exciting? If you told the whole
I,
story in well, I got in trouble, I did some bath salts, and I got in trouble, or God said,
right, for
the
sure.
thing,
But my biggest thing is that like I was inviting everyone from church here, so I was just thinking like everything that I was gonna say had to like have the God kind of tone over it. You know what I mean? Like it was all gonna be, but like I went a long time without even mentioning how that was influencing it. You know what I mean? I kind of just talked about drugs for a while, and I don't know.
yeah,
So thank you,
looks like
Pete. I appreciate that. Yeah, I
looks
appreciate
like
that,
you're getting a
brother.
lot of love from everybody.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. But no,
I assume
I did all right. I'll get
I
next time
assume you
will be
know these
better.
people.
Oh yeah, see, so they're seeing it. So all right. Yeah.
Dio,
All right.
I'll
Very,
tell you what,
very
we could
cool.
go on and on and on, but you have definitely bared your soul. You have shown
Yes.
absolute bravery. You have displayed accountability beyond measure. This is what an absolute. This is what a testimony is supposed to be like.
All
It's
right,
not so
brother.
much
Thank
an
you.
interview. I'm grateful to you to do this with me, to have this platform to do it. We obviously were bound to
Yes.
meet somehow and do this. However, I was living my life all them years. You're 45, I'm 47, and then
Yep.
boom.
Yeah.
And this is the
Other
thing about,
states,
oh, I don't
everything.
know
It's
why all
amazing.
this stuff happened. This is crazy. That's how grace works. If we understood God's grace, it wouldn't be grace.
Right.
So
Yep.
I'm going
Absolutely.
to ask you this. I ask you to thank everybody who you invited and to lead us out in prayer, because I'm about to hit bathroom break number 2,
Yeah. No.
and it's
No.
dinner time. If that's
All right.
okay with
Yeah.
you, I'm not trying to shorten
Yeah, no,
anything
for
up,
sure.
but
No, absolutely. Yeah,
I,
absolutely. Okay. I had this all written out too, but I'm not going to read any of that either. So just Lord God, I just want to thank you, Lord, for bringing me and Trav here together. I thank you for him and his platform that he has, that's allowing people to expand and allowing people to be able to share and hopefully reach other people, Lord. And I thank you for everything that you've done for me in my life, Lord, all the amazing things you've done. I know I did not make it easy on you, Lord, but I am here now, Lord, and I am ready to serve you now in every way, in every capacity, Lord. I am yours. I thank you for all the amazing people that you keep on placing in my life, up till Trav, but especially everyone at my church, the New Life Church, the amazing church I have, the pastor Oleg, Liana, Lord, all the prayer warriors, Lord, especially Karen Macrina, who gave me the Bible, who brought me, to that church, Lord, and just all the amazing people that are in my life now. There's too many to name, but everybody that you've placed there, Lord, I thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
man, absolutely amazing, Gio. I
All right,
appreciate
sir.
you, man, and thanks to everybody that you invited here tonight. They got to tune
Absolutely.
in and check this out, leave some comments and support. I think you got a ton of friends. You've got real friends now.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. I do. Absolutely.
but
Yes.
I think again, I'm going to end the broadcast. Let me know. I'm going to check your channel out probably as soon as I
All
get
right,
off
cool.
here and see. I'm pretty sure it'll be on there. But
All right, awesome. All right, bro. Thank
thank
you
you,
so much, man.
Gio.
I really appreciate you.
I love you, brother. I'm going to talk to you
All right.
soon.
Yeah, I love you too, man. Thank you so much. All
Yep.
right, God bless.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. I apparently have somebody knocking at the door, so we're gonna go check out what this is. Thank you so much. This has been On the Spot with guest Geo Eissler. God bless GBR and everybody that's in that group and everybody that has been a part of this. Appreciate you all. Be good, but be good to yourselves first.